Day, as it was called by President Trump, we established a separate unit within Enterprise Ireland to immediately respond to all those who are exporting to the US to ensure that they were getting the support.
Meanwhile, US President Donald Trump has agreed to send top-of-the-line weapons to NATO to support Ukraine. He's also threatened Russia with steep tariffs if it doesn't agree to end the war within 50 days. It marks a hardening of his stance towards Moscow after months of frustration over unsuccessful attempts to end the conflict. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has thanked the American president for his support.
We had very good phone conversation. We made some decisions, very positive for both countries. Just now we spoke about air defense with General.
There is a concerning number of collisions in the Littering Municipal District, according to Councillor Patrick McGowan. He highlighted the N15 between the two main towns and on the N13 between Kilross and Drumkeen, particularly in the vicinity of the old N13 filling station, which has been closed for a number of years. He's seeking updated statistics outlining the number and nature of collisions across the MD. Councillor McGowan says there was a time that regular and uniform figures would be presented, but it seems that's no longer the case. The council is losing funding as a result.
There used to be a thing called minor accidents funding, but if they're not compiling the figures, these so-called accident black spots could well be missed. We need the particular junctions remedied and fixed. But, it's going to be very, very hard to lobby departments for money if we don't have one proper record for the whole eight.
The government has been urged to prioritise investment and rollout of EV charging infrastructure, as new figures show that the sale of battery electric vehicles is up 45.11% in Donegal in the first half of 2025. 193 BEVs were registered in the county in the first 6 months of 2025 versus 133 for the same period last year. The latest figures released by SIMI show registrations of all electric and hybrid vehicles combined now hold a market share of 58%. The Electric Vehicle Charging Alliance of Ireland says there is clear momentum in Donegal and elsewhere, and that must be acknowledged.
Take a moment to think about a delicious chunk of Cadbury dairy milk. As it melts, slowly, coating every inch of your mouth. The unmistakable taste that stays with you long after you've finished it. Now try thinking about something else. Hard, isn't it? It could only be Cadbury Dairy Milk.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
And a very good morning to you. This is, as we said, the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio. It's Donal Kavanagh with you until 12 noon today. There's a lot to get through, a lot to talk about. But of course, we also want to talk about the things that you want to talk about. So if you want to get in touch with the show, you can text or WhatsApp us on 086 60 25,000. Call us on 074 91 25,000. Donna Marie Doherty is producing this morning, and Shannon Wilkins out there as well. They'll both be taking your calls, and they'll both be guiding me through the course of the show as well. And between us, we make a hell of a team. So get in touch. Take part in the conversation. You can email us, of course, on comments@highlandradio.com. And we're on social media. It's Highland Hub on Facebook. It's at Highland Radio on Twitter, /X, call it what you will. And on other social media platforms as well. You can, of course, watch the show unfold in all its glory as he once again remembers to press the button to put him on air, which... never wanted to be on television. This was never part of the contract, but hey, this is the way it goes. You can watch the show unfold on our YouTube channel, Highland Radio Ireland, or indeed on our Facebook pages as well. And you can take part that way. Comments are starting to come in, and good morning to Mary and good morning to Susan, both of whom have been listening. And hello to everyone who is listening, watching and taking part in whatever way they are taking part in the programme this morning. Now, we're going to start with the papers, as we always do, and let's start with the Irish Independent. Interesting story on the front page. Artists seeking state grants asked about their sexuality. The Data Protection Commissioner has written to the Arts Council to seek further details on the nature and content of questions asked of artists when they were applying for bursary grants earlier this year. It follows concerns raised by a number of artists who said they were asked about their sexuality and religious orientation, among other personal questions, when they applied for the bursary round in February. Now, I'm just wondering, could it be that this is the Arts Council doing this because at some point they know what's going to happen is questions are going to be asked about what proportion of members of X community, be it the LGBTQI plus community or whichever, what proportion of this community, what proportion of that community are getting grants? Are you giving grants across the board? Is society represented in the grant distribution process? And I suppose their thing is going to be, well, how do we know if we don't ask? So it's an interesting one, and it's a debate I suspect is going to become more and more prevalent, because on the one hand, you need to, I won't say quotas. Quotas is a very blunt word, but there is an expectation that anything that gives out grants does so in a non-discriminatory way that reflects society as it stands. But I suppose now the question is, how do you know that you're reflecting the reality of society if you don't have some metric or some way of actually measuring that and making sure that you are ensuring that grants are distributed across the board? It's one which I suspect a number of funders are going to have to struggle with over the next while, but it's an interesting one, and there's a conversation I suspect starting on that one. Irish Times this morning, there's a very interesting little story inside the Irish Times. Sarah Burns is in Donegal, and the headline is, "Why would anyone build on bogland? Rescuing Donegal's sinking ghost estate." Overlooking Dunlow Pier on the west coast of Donegal lies a vacant housing estate comprising 15 properties. The homes off Pole Road in Meanmore have been idle for more than 15 years, with the estate referred to as the Titanic by some locals. Raira Congestion was completed in around about 2007, but within a year the entire site suffered serious subsidence. Owners said it's because the 3-bedroom semi-detached homes had been built on a peat bog, causing steps and ramps to detach from walls and tarmac to sink, water pipes to break, and central heating and drainage sewage systems to be damaged. And there's an ongoing discussion in which the developers and Donegal County Council have been involved, and the council now looking to see if it can be saved. And indeed, I see a picture of Councillor Micheál Columgilla Aspig there standing in front of one of the houses. It's an interesting, and Shaskin in Irish means swamp. So the name Rairc na Shaskin, if my interpretation is correct, that effectively, literally translates as swamp view. And as someone said to me this morning, was that not a bit of a hint? And we know now. We do know, for instance, you can successfully develop on swampland. I well remember, and I'm here long enough to remember this, and I'm looking out at Donna Marie and Shannon, neither of whom would have been alive when this debate started. But I remember back when the first indications were being made that the Neil T. Blaney Road was being developed in Letterkenny, that whole area. Now, you think about it. You've got retail parks, you've got major shopping developments, you've got another road spurring out over toward the Port Road, you've got the council offices, and you've got the Neil T. Blaney Road itself, which has become a very, very busy road in Letterkenny. A lot of people now possibly can't even conceive what driving in Letterkenny would be like without Neil T. Blaney Road. I remember, and we're going back to the 90s here, but I remember a discussion that went along the lines of, you can't build a road on that, it's a bog, it'll sink. So obviously you can, if you can get your pilings right and your foundations right and all the various drainage and whatever you have to do. It can be done. Neil T. Blaney Road and the buildings on it in Letterkenny is an indication that you can build properly on a swamp. And I'm sure a lot of our older listeners will remember that whole debate. It was in the late 90s, and there was a lot of discussion in what at the time was the Letterkenny Urban District Council, which then became Letterkenny Town Council, which then became defunct. But there was a lot of time in the old LUDC. The HQ was up where the Regional Cultural Centre is now. But I mean, I remember well those discussions about, can you build that Neil T. Blaney? Well, it wasn't the Neil T. Blaney Road at the time. It hadn't been named. But this whole talk about the new road that was going to open up that whole area in Letterkenny. And, you know, and we now still are having discussions about opening up parts of Letterkenny, which potentially may be floodplains, but there's certain works you can do and, you know, to mediate any risk and to ensure that you can get the maximum development with the minimum risk. And that discussion goes on. It appears that in the case of this estate in Dunlow, perhaps the equations weren't quite right. But the council now seeing if those houses can be saved or if something can be done. Because the bottom line is you have 15 empty houses on a site in Dunlow, and I'm sure there's a hell of a lot more than 15 families on the housing waiting list in Dunlow and that wider. I know there's a lot more than 15 families on the housing waiting list in that wider Glenties Municipal District. So absolutely, the more homes one can get online, the better, and the quicker, the better as well. The Irish Daily Mail this morning. Stark warning on cost of living. The government is to hold firm on its commitment to end cost of living measures in the budget, despite firm warnings that the move will push hundreds households into poverty. The Economic and Social Research Institute will today caution that removing one-off measures such as energy credits is likely to lead to knock-on effects on poverty and inequality. But Minister Jack Chambers will tell Cabinet that fiscal prudence is essential to safeguard Ireland. And I suppose too, with the threat of tariffs coming from the US, your Department of Finance, your Department of Public Expenditure especially, they're sitting down going, hang on, I think we have to be very prudent with our figures here. And sometimes you have these projections coming from people who aren't looking into the social and the personal cost of these measures. The problem is politicians and department officials will implement what they say is a one-off special payment. We're paying it now, and as far as they're concerned, we're paying it now, it's paid, and the clock goes back, and next year we go back to normal. So a one-off extra thing has been done. The problem is that some people are so strapped for money and so strapped for resources that as soon as that one-off payment comes in, that gets factored in to their overall projections. So people are planning things. And we saw this actually last week and the week before when we had the whole discussion on the education and specifically the third level registration fee, which is 3,000, and it went down to 2,000 because of a one-off. Now, as far as government was concerned, it was a one-off initiative. It goes back to 3 next year. It always was going to go back to 3 next year as far as government were concerned. But so many people saw it was 2,000 last year, assumed it was going to be 2,000 again this year, and we had that whole discussion, which is by no means over, by the way, on the whole registration fee for colleges. And that's going to start becoming a factor right across the board now as we get closer and closer to the budget. We have the ESRI are warning if you remove these one-off payments, then people are going to be pushed more into poverty. On the other hand, you're going to have the Fiscal Advisory Council, which has a specific role to fulfill, and that role is to advise the government on the most prudent spending possible. And it's going to be telling the government, no, you've got to roll back on this extra expenditure, you've got to pull back on public expenditure because you have to implement a spending plan that's prudent and makes economic sense. And as always is the case in budgets, politicians are going to find themselves sort of trying to walk between the devil and the deep blue sea in terms of do you follow the advice about economic prudence, which is the correct economic advice and the right thing to do from a budgetary economic term. But the problem is the right thing to do economically and the right thing to do in terms of balancing budgets and being financially prudent is what's going to cause extra hardship to the people you are there to serve. And that's a gulf that is going to have to be crossed by politicians in the weeks and months ahead. Looking at the front of the Irish Daily Star this morning, Conor makes an arse of it. Like the headline. Rapper mocks his presidency bid in nude snaps claim. Rapper Azealia Banks has launched an X-rated social media rant at Conor McGregor, publishing nude pictures she claims he sent her. She told fans he had warned her not to share them, and she also mocked his plans to run for the presidency. Right. Also, there's a picture on the front of the Irish Daily Star of Paula Fay and Catherine Wrightstone, two sisters who allowed their anonymity to be removed in a court hearing yesterday in order to name their brother, a former priest, Richard Brennan, who raped them years ago, and he was sentenced to 8 years imprisonment in court yesterday. Now, they're saying 8 years is not enough for our rapist brother. And that's the front of the Irish Daily Star this morning. Looking at the Mirror this morning, get brothers from hell jailed. This former priest now joins his brother in prison after admitting the historic rape and abuse of his sisters. Outside the court, 2 survivors of his attack slammed his 8-year jail sentence, and his brother Bernard already in prison, it seems. Also looking on the inside of the Mirror this morning, EU vows to hit back at tariffs. We will be firm, quick and robust in US response. The European Union's response to President Donald Trump's threat of 30% tariffs on products will be firm, quick and robust, according to Commissioner Michael McGrath. And discussions obviously ongoing in terms of what can be achieved in the ongoing discussions between the EU and the US. And one can't help but wonder, as we come toward the end game in those discussions, is this just a matter of each side flexing its muscles a bit? I'd be very surprised if this is the end result, but we'll have to keep an eye on what happens. Comic blasts cash for jokes on the front of the Irish Sun. Dave McSavage has slammed a TD's call for comedians to receive art funding from the state, saying you get funny or you starve. Fine Gael's Brian Brennan says Arts Council cash should help all artists, including stand-ups, but Dave McSavage, the creator of The Savage Eye, warned government funding could kill comedy. Now, Dave McSavage made a comedic career and continues to make a comedic career after doing things which are different to and from everybody else on the market. So that's an interesting one. Again, on the inside, EU can't push us around Trump. €72 billion revenge bid on the tariffs debate. And sicko to walk free. Cops on high alert as Evil Walsh, soon back on streets. One of Ireland's most depraved child rapists will be freed from prison this month. Stephen Rossi Walsh, 77, is being released after serving 5 months for failing to notify Garda of a new address. And that's the story there. So that's the way your papers are looking this morning. If any of those stories whetted your appetite to get in touch with us, or indeed there's anything else you want to talk to us about, as I said, it's 086 60 25,000 for your texts or WhatsApps, 07491 25,000, or if you're outside of the dialing area, 00353 7491 25,000. Whatever way you choose to get in touch, please do. We'd love to hear from you.
Daily newspapers are courtesy of Cosgrove, Centra and Diner, Mountaintop, Letterkenny.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Crawford Tiles and More, Castlefin. Massive 3-day yard clearance sale. Thursday the 17th to Saturday the 19th of July. Unmissable deals on tiles and bathware. Back to wall toilets, €149. Freestanding baths, €599. White, 600 vanity unit and tall boy set, only €499. Tiles slashed by 50 to 70%, starting at just €10. Take home on the day. Don't miss the bargain of a lifetime at Crawford Tiles and More. 3-day yard clearance, Thursday the 17th to Saturday the 19th of July. Call 07491 43942.
Carrickdon's sizzling summer sale now on. Reductions of up to 50% off in all departments. Shop the summer sale in stores nationwide or online at carrickdon.com.
Summer toys at Tinny's Toys. Everything for an outdoor summer. Swings, slides, trampolines, goalposts, rebounders, sand table, wheelbarrows. Of course, we also have our massive range of kids, pedal and electric toys. Need something for those rainy days? Well, we've that covered too. With the likes of Brooder Toys, Lego, Marvel Toys, books and more. Call into our store on the Leck Road, Letterkenny, or shop online at tinnystoys.com. Tinny's Toys. Much more than just farm toys. Dan Boy.
Here at Braden's House to Home Interiors, Moville and Bridgend, we stock recliner and fabric suites, dining tables and chairs, beds and mattresses, curtains and rugs, and don't forget our large flooring department stocking carpet, vinyl and laminate flooring. We can't be beaten on price or quality and give a weekly delivery service to Donegal, Derry and Strabane, not to be matched. So call in today to Braden's House to Home Interiors, Moville or Bridgend for all your home furnishing needs.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is
21 minutes past 9 o'clock. Going to our first guest in just a moment. Before we do, though, just a few of your comments, and a lot of people contacting us this morning about traffic on the Ramelton Road. Now, the Ramelton Road, particularly leading into Letterkenny, I know yesterday evening there was severe traffic congestion on that road. That was to an extent to be expected, because yesterday was the Monday after the 12th of July weekend, and I always say to people, with the possible exception of the rally, the Monday after the 12th is going to be one of the busiest traffic days in Letterkenny, because you've got so many people have come over to Donegal for the weekend, staying in areas like Downings, Dunfanaghy, Carrigart, and it's very welcome they are. A lot of people will be heading back home into Northern Ireland on that sort of Monday afternoon into Monday evening, so that can be a really busy day. Now, it's been exacerbated by the fact that there are roadworks at Castle Shanahan, and a caller is just asking who is the person that decided to have roadworks at Castle Shanahan in the middle of rush hour this morning. Huge tailbacks into Ramelton, no diversions, no advance warnings, nothing. It's madness, so says Noel, one of our callers. Noel, I look, the only thing I can suggest is the council's response, I would imagine, is going to be, look, we have to do it sometime, and we've decided to do it in July and August when the kids aren't in school. Because in the council's view, And I'm sure, look, if I had to plan something like this, I would do it now as well, because it's school holidays. So you don't have school traffic on the road, which could make the situation even worse. I absolutely take your point that when you have it at rush hour, when people are getting into work and so on and so forth, it's difficult. Now, do you put the argument, right, don't start the work until 10 o'clock in the morning when rush hour is over, or 9:30 in the morning when rush hour is over? Your contractors and those involved in the work are then going to say, hang on a tick, if you don't start the work until that time, then what you're effectively going to do is you're going to delay the project by X number of weeks. You're going to make it more expensive, and ultimately you're going to make the period of delay even longer. That's my initial thought on that. Again, a person saying mental tailbacks outside Ramelton at the moment. Maybe you could advise people to avoid the area. That certainly seems to be linked with those roadworks in Castle Shanahan. Traffic backed up to the golf course road on the Ramelton Road. People used back roads to try and get away from the traffic at Newton Cunningham yesterday. The majority flying around country roads, not caring about road users coming in the opposite direction. Myself and a few neighbours almost got hit numerous times on a stretch of 4-kilometre road. Having kids on board was quite scary. Again, traffic is crazy every day in Letterkenny. It's unreal. They know and see what's going on, but they can't do anything about it. Again, Newton Cunningham being referenced in this one. Humongous tailbacks all the way out from Newton to Dillon's Cars. Do road engineers and planners not have the savvy to know how much of an exodus there is following the 12th bank holiday in the north, plus no Port Bridge? We'll get back to this issue, I think, because I think it does merit talking about, because you're always guaranteed the Tuesday after the Monday after the 12th is one of the days when the need for the Bonagee link, the second bridge over the Swilly, becomes absolutely highlighted. Now, I want to go to our caller, who is Marjorie. Marjorie, a very good morning to you.
Good morning.
Marjorie, you have, and this is one of these sort of 21st century problems, perhaps, that maybe even 10 years ago we wouldn't have foreseen. But your concern is about drones, and specifically the threat drones pose to our privacy. Tell us your story.
Yeah, well, on Friday, it was a lovely day. The weekend was absolutely beautiful. So on Friday afternoon, I was in Maharorty and I was painting my house. And obviously the weather was very, very good. So I was wearing very little clothes. So just wearing a little black vest. I was painting away. And the next thing, I turned round with my 3 children. They were out. Some of them were playing. Some of them were helping me. So I turned round and I thought I could hear something. When I turned round, there was a drone just directly above my head, almost within reaching, distance away from me. And I was like, oh my God, so like we live above the pier in Maharorty, just, with probably about 2 acres of land there. And the house is, up quite a bit from the main road. And I just thought, surely this isn't right. And it looked it looked expensive and a powerful one. Now, obviously, I'm all for drones when they're used in the right way. I would live on Tory Island Monday to Friday and would go out a lot of the weekends then to Maharorty. And there's someone on Tory and they use the drone quite a lot. And to this day, I've never actually felt any, unsafe around it or whatever. You expect it in the public places. You wouldn't expect a drone to come right into your front door. Like the front door was open, all our windows were opened. You could see clearly into someone's house using that, that piece of equipment, and I think it's terrible. Like, the law obviously is that there's no law to say that that's illegal what was done, and I just think surely it's not right that can be done and that nothing can be done about it. Now, unfortunately, I don't know, and I'm not 100% sure who actually owns the drone. The car parks at the beach in Maharorty were full to capacity on Friday and Saturday. I did see this a couple of years ago as well. But, I just thought, oh my goodness, this is terrible. I'm not sure if other people are experiencing this, but I just think it's wrong and something needs to be done about it.
Was it actually static? Was it hovering above you, or was it just moving very slowly?
It was hovering above me.
So, and we know a lot of these drones have very high quality definition cameras on board for both still photography and videos. So you believe there is every chance that photographs may have been taken from that drone of you, of your home, of the environs of your house?
Of course, yeah, without doubt. I mean, it looked powerful, it looked expensive, and definitely, I see the footage that Owen Clark on Tory Island, he uses his drone, and it's absolutely, the quality is exceptional. I mean, and again, it's brilliant, it's great to have it, to advertise places like that, have all the scenery around the island, and even he does some footage out in Maharorty and that as well. It's absolutely amazing. It's top quality, and I would imagine that's what, and I don't know what would be to be seen up around my house. There's nothing there out of the ordinary to be seen, and it's just the privacy, you know.
Yeah.
You just feel like, oh my goodness, surely this isn't right. Like.
And as you say, it does raise this whole issue of privacy. Now, I'm wondering myself. I can't say I know the specific. I know Maharorty, obviously, but I don't know the specific geography of the home you're speaking of. I mean, could it be, for instance, that it was hovering there because that's where the camera will get a good panoramic view of the whole? Because Maharorty is quite a long, beautiful beach. That they're getting a panoramic view of the whole beach from that spot, and that's the ultimate place to get it from. And it just so happens that it's over your house. Or alternatively, it could be that they're taking pictures of houses, taking pictures of homes, and as you say, and even if it is genuinely taking a panoramic picture of the whole of Maharorty Beach, the fact that it's hovering just above you puts you in a situation where you're feeling, if not threatened, you're certainly feeling uncomfortable.
Oh, definitely felt very uncomfortable, and the kids were it as well, playing. And you know, whatever about myself, I'm an adult. I actually don't think it's right that anyone should be allowed to be hovering over children and clearly recording. Now, I could see it clearly going around, so it wasn't that it was zooming in on, say, the beach or Muckish Mountain or Errigal or anything like that. It was moving around, so it was obviously getting the full panoramic view of the whole area. You know, it was doing, you know. So I just think it's just terrible, you know, that should be allowed, and that there isn't any laws there to say that that's wrong. You know, so just very, very frustrated. I know I put a post up on Facebook saying I would have shot it down if I had a gun, but you know, and I actually would have. Because I just think it's really wrong, like that someone should be allowed to do that. Again, for the right reasons, I support them 100%. Like, but unfortunately, when it's around your home, I think everyone's entitled to a little bit of privacy.
And this is one of these areas where the law, as it stands, privacy laws that we have, would have been drafted and would have been written at a time when no one would have foreseen the idea that you could have drones. And I mean, you know, at this point, anyone can buy a drone via mail order and get it into their home. I mean, you know, it isn't as though these are very specific. They were 8-9 years ago. These would have been very specific technical things that needed really qualified people to operate them. The fact is now you can probably buy a drone. Look, you can go into a shop in Derry and buy a drone and have it in the air in 10 minutes. So we obviously do need to have an updated law that reflects the situation as it stands in terms of the potential privacy invasion of drones like this, and is one of these cases where the law has got to catch up with the reality of what's out there.
Of course, of course, 100%. And I did have a discussion with someone over the weekend, and they said, well, fair enough, you own the land, but you don't actually own the airspace. And I was like, oh my God. This just gets worse, you know.
But by the same token, the airspace is controlled. Now, for instance, I'm thinking, I remember I would have been a huge fan of Game of Thrones. And I remember a couple of years ago, just when Game of Thrones was coming to an end, my wife and I went to Belfast and we spent a day around the studios where Game of Thrones was filmed, and they had a huge exhibition just across the way, and you could actually go around. But it was right across the road from the studio, and if anyone knows Belfast, if you go to Titanic, the Titanic Centre there, just behind there's this big huge blue and yellow building. That's actually the studio where a lot of the interior shots of Game of Thrones was filmed. Now, they had posters and signs all the way down that railing that said drone overflight prohibited, no drones, less fines can be administered if drones are used here. So there was an obvious ban on the use of drones above the filming area. Makes absolute sense. They don't want newspapers getting shots of characters and their costumes and what may be happening and then being published. So they had a ban on drones flying over their studios. They had a ban on drones flying over the set for King's Landing was actually there as well. And they had a ban on drones flying over it. Now, if they can have a ban on drones flying over a film studio, surely you can have a ban on drones flying over private houses.
Well, I would hope so. But definitely something has to be done about it.
As we said, I think it is one of those cases where the law's got to catch up and bear in mind what can be... and it is an interesting question, that whole question of the rights of the airspace. I mean, you mightn't own the airspace over your home, but the airspace over your home can be controlled by air traffic control, etc. And regulations can be put in place by government to actually regulate exactly what happens there. And certainly in terms of whatever about flying over. And we know, for instance, there's a big debate going on. Now, it's happening in Dublin, but, it's happening in Dublin now, but it's going to be, it's not necessarily going to be an issue on Tory Island because you don't have thousands of people ordering takeaway every night on Tory Island. But in Dublin now, they have an issue where a lot of takeaways are delivered by drone. And people are now saying they're in their home and there are drones flying over their home constantly, depositing McDonald's to one house and a Chinese to another house. And they're now worrying it's going to get so bad that there's going to be so many drones flying around the place that drones are going to start crashing. and there's going to be drones carrying McDonald's crashing into drones carrying Chinese. And this is happening. This is what's happening in Dublin now.
My goodness, God, I must be getting very old.
I think this is one of these areas where when you're based on somewhere like Tory, and I know you do great work with the court coming over there, but when you're based somewhere like Tory, you do manage to avoid an awful lot of the crap that happens in cities, and this maybe is one of the ones that you're avoiding.
Yeah, no, that's it. But no, I just think it's wrong. And, you know, if any of the listeners out there have experienced anything like this, you know, because it is, I just felt very uncomfortable, you know, and it could be someone who is genuinely, as you said earlier, just taking in the scenery, and, you know, that's fair enough. But I would like to ask them not to do it again, you know, so.
And even look, if someone is going to be in an area taking shots like that, maybe no harm, knock on a door and say, I mean, it's not a hugely populated area. I'm sure there's not a huge amount of houses in that area. I mean, you know, so it's no harm to someone. If someone knocked on your door and said, hello, I'm doing a bit of photography over the beach. I'm going to be flying a drone to take the photographs. I may have to hover over your house for 10 minutes or so because I get a really good shot there. Do you mind if I do it? Now, in a case like that where you've spoken to the person and they've asked your permission and you've had a conversation, you'd probably feel an awful lot better about it and quite possibly give them permission to do it.
Of course, yeah. As long as you don't phone me, I'll just say, you know, the kids, no problem at all, you know. So let's be reasonable about it as well.
And particularly somewhere like Maharoti, where you say there aren't all that many houses there. It would be no harm if someone is doing filming, and it may well be professional. It could well be for a tourism brochure. As you said, it did seem to be a very good drone and a very technical and professional one. And people are so skilled at flying them. I remember I was out at the pier in Port Salon there quite recently, and there was a lady took a drone out of her car and was flying it and was taking pictures, and I was thinking she was flying it like a Top Gun pilot. It was stunning to actually watch the level of control that she had over this thing, and I'm thinking it's going to crash. No, it never crashed, and she took it off, took photographs around the area. It landed again. She put it back in the car. It was so professional. It was really impressive to watch, actually. Marjorie, look, it's been lovely talking to you, and hopefully we'll get a bit of a debate started. But I think this is a conversation that starts here, but ultimately this is one that's going to have to finish with updated privacy laws. For the moment, Marjorie, thank you.
Thank you.
And that's Marjorie there relating her experiences in Maharoti. It is an interesting one, and please do share your perspectives with us. Caller says you need a license to fly a drone. See, I'm not fully conversant with the law with regards to this. I do know that you can go into a shop and buy a drone without any license being required to buy it. Another person says, I do believe it's illegal for someone using a drone on someone's private property where the authority is being notified. I do agree. Another caller says with Marjorie, these drones shouldn't be allowed over private property, and particularly taking footage of her or her children. I absolutely agree. Taking photographs of children in that sort of circumstances would be the height of privacy invasion and absolutely should be illegal. Now, what licenses are required or what regulations are in place, and I'm sure there are regulations and licenses controlling drones. And you know what? Maybe this is a question for our Garda slot. Now, what I might do is, when we do the Garda slot today, I might just ask them, look, a question for a week or two's time. Maybe no harm to put a query in there to see what are the legal, as the Gardaí locally understand them, what is the legal situation regarding drones. That's what we'll do. We'll ask the Gardaí when they come in. We won't get an answer this morning. You can't put people on the spot like that. But perhaps this day week, the Garda slot on this day week, which will be July 22nd, perhaps we'll get an answer on that day. So leave that with us for the moment. Before we take a quick break, let's one or two more comments on the traffic. Again, a person said, and this was from yesterday, meeting a friend in Newton Cunningham at midday on the 14th. Huge traffic tailbacks all the way from Newton to Dillon's Cars. We actually did do that one. Yeah, that is because that's the one that also asked about the Port Bridge, and I think certainly the Bonagee link, the second bridge over the Swilly, that is one that's going to have to be discussed. Now, yesterday on the show we had a discussion on the lifeguard station in Bundoran being blocked and the Coast Guard station at Mulroy being blocked by cars and people parking on the marked yellow lines outside the station. That's the area they need to get their vessels out of their bases and into the water. Caller says we have the same problem in Bunbeg with parking. The Coast Guard often loses time responding. Gardaí need to lift the cars blocking, tow them to Letterkenny, charge release fee. That would soon stop the parking in the yellow boxes. And they say it's not always the visitors who are blocking the box. Right, let's take a quick break. Back after these.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com. The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from 40,000 to 600,000 euro with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
Since I switched to hidden hearing, I can hear it all.
You could save up to €3,000 off invisible hearing aids. Save when you switch to us, upgrade, or save on your very first hearing aids. Pre-phone 1-800-370-000. Switch and save at hiddenhearing.ie. You should go to the hearing experts. T's and C's apply.
Get top label clothing and footwear for less in the big summer sale now on at Watson Menswear. A great range of shirts, polos and t-shirts at half price. Get 2 denims for €70. Footwear with up to 50% off, and there's 20% off brands like Penguin, Superdry, Tommy Bow and Sixth Sense. All in the big summer sale now on at Watson Menswear. Open 7 days a week on Main Street, Letterkenny, and at watsonmenswear.com.
Is your couch older than your Spotify playlist? Is your dining table wobblier than your uncle at a wedding? If so, it's time for an upgrade at Grove Furnishings, Kiltoy Road, Letterkenny, the largest furniture store in the Northwest. From stylish sofas to elegant beds, from floor covering to occasional pieces, we've got you covered. And we offer free delivery within 80 kilometres. Grove Furnishings. Seriously good furniture.
In the lead up to the All-Ireland final, join us for Highland Radio's Road to Croker, supporting the Donegal GA Team Training Fund and the Northwest Special Olympics. We kick off final week with a special big match countdown event at the Clanry Hotel Letterkenny on Monday the 21st at 8 p.m. Oisín Kelly and Brendan Devaney will look ahead to the game with an expert panel of guests. We will also have live entertainment and an exclusive Michael Murphy Sports Donegal goodie bag up for grabs. Tickets priced €20 and are available now on highlandradio.com. Highland Radio's Road to Croker in association with Highland Motors Letterkenny. Thinking of a new 252? Check out Highland's great offers on their award-winning ranges. See highlandmotors.ie.
The 9 till noon show on Highland Radio. A couple of more comments in about drones. Drones are like seagulls in Dublin. They're constantly overhead delivering goods, etc. And then another caller says there's no privacy in public and you take pictures of what your eyes can see. Up to that woman to create a privacy when a plane or helicopter goes across. You can't stop them. Or can you? Because joined on the line by Duncan, who's got some perspective on this. Duncan, good morning.
Good morning, Donal. How are you?
Very well indeed. Duncan, you know a little bit about the use of drones. What's your take on what Marjorie had to say?
Well, I just go by what I've learned through the media and TV and the RTE and so on. Things like this has happened in the past. So they updated the laws in relation to that. So they have, and a person who buys a drone, especially a specific type of drone, they have to do a mandatory course and doing that to gain a license and so on as well.
Uh-huh. And you believe
they
that...
just can't go out and fly a drone because they have to be licensed.
Yeah. And does the licence restrict where you can and under what circumstances you can fly it?
It does, yes.
And what's your understanding of what the regulations are?
Well, the regulations are you can't go onto somebody's property with a drone. Especially, you have to be a certain distance away from certain properties and so on.
And when you say property, is there... It's so that basically someone was saying the airspace above a house is not part of the private property of that house. You believe actually it is in terms of what can and can't go into it, that into the airspace over the house can be actually defined as trespassing?
Yes.
Do we need perhaps then some form of an advertising campaign, publicity campaign to make these new laws and regulations clearer? Because to be honest, Duncan, I wasn't aware what those regulations were in terms of...
Well, there was a campaign out there a number of years ago in relation to all that.
Yeah.
In previous governments. And on the media and the RTE, and they were the roads throughout the country.
Right. Duncan, thanks very much indeed for that. We'll certainly look into it. And, it's interesting and it's important to have this conversation. So, Duncan, thanks very much indeed for your perspective on it. That's Duncan there, who believes that they are not it's not permissible just to willy-nilly fly a drone around. We'll certainly be looking for an update on the regulations as regards to that. Let's change our focus slightly, because there's been a lot of discussion over the past number of days about littering. There was an incident in Strabane that we'll, I'm sure, get to at some point shortly. But also, we've discussed a lot on the programme and elsewhere on Highland Radio, camper vans and tents and camping and the litter and the mess that it can create. John is joining us on the line. John, good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing this
Very well
morning,
indeed, John.
Donal?
Very well indeed. John, you believe that the souvenirs left behind, shall we say, by some using camper vans and tents on our beaches leaves a lot to be desired?
Well, I'm just going to call it out for what it is, Greg. And I think I hate when it comes round to the 12th of July, because the cars that are involved, you know where they're from. You can see the registrations. They're not from down the country. They're not from anywhere else. They're from over the border. They come out. The camper's the same. They park up on the beaches. And I'll tell you now, I could put my life on it, because I had to say to people on where I was swimming the other day, you can't park there. That's a yellow box for a lifeboat to be able to get down. And the mouthful they gave me, because I told them they can't park the car there, was disgraceful.
Mm-hmm.
And told me to mind my own business. I was told to mind my own business. But the principle of the thing is, they come out and, yes, they're avoiding the marketing, whatever's going on in the north, but they come out and they treat this place as if it's their own. They're no good to the Society of Donegal. They're no good to the Republic of Ireland, because their boots is full of their own shopping from the north.
John, I'm going to cut across you there. I'm always uncomfortable with any conversation that just says they. I would say some of them, because I hate the idea that we say they are like this.
Listen, you're 100%. You're 100%. Sorry, that is true. It's a very fair point, Donal, and I do agree. But, the majority will say they're not much good to the Society of Donegal, because their boots is full, their cars is full, and the only thing we get from it, we get nothing from it other than their rubbish. Now, when I was down during the week for my morning swim, when I was leaving, when I went down on Monday morning, which was yesterday morning, I was shocked of where 4 campsites was and what rubbish was lying. Now, when I was down the previous couple of mornings, I could see who was parked there, I could see what vehicles there were, and I could see, the setup they had. It looked like a good wee setup, or like a good crack. But the beer cans, the rubbish, everything was left lying. There was nothing taken with them. And to the principle of thing, I phoned in last year to Donal about it, or to Greg himself about it. A car in front of me driving up from a beach, and the occupant put the window down and threw the nappy out the window as they were driving along. You know what I mean?
I remember that one actually, yeah.
I wish people would come out and have respect for our wee county. No matter where they're coming from, doesn't matter where you're coming from. If you're going into somebody else's territory, somebody else's, have respect. It's a tough one, because I think, to be honest, you had one of our local politicians on recently talking about the sand dunes and so on. I think that whole area down by Carrickfinn and all that has to be closed off. It has to be. There has to be gates monitored, put on that. And I think that has to be stopped. Right down as far as the boat strand. It's going to be destroyed if it's allowed to keep going what's happening. And your man that was on here talking to you was fantastic. Every point he made was 100%. But it's the fact they don't have the respect. I would have no issue with anybody if they had respect, but they don't have respect. And I just think it's just so not fair. It's just not fair on us, and it's not fair on the people of Donegal that love our wee county, and we do our best for it, and we try to promote it as much as possible. But it comes to this time of year, and as I said, they're avoiding what's going on in the north, which is understandable if they're not up for it. But gee, when you come out here, just have a bit of respect for where you are.
Can't disagree with any of that at all, John. Thank you very much indeed. That's
Listen,
John there.
Thanks a million, Donal. Thank you. And you're right, Donal. I'd like to Donal, I'd like to apologise. You are right. It's not. We can't just tarnish them all. I suppose you're
absolutely,
right.
yeah. And you're right too. It can be a major issue, and we've all seen the residue of what can be left on the beaches. I think I would hate to see Carrickfinn closed off, because it is such a wonderful place.
I'm not saying close it off. I wouldn't close it off for walkers and for people. I'm saying put gates across it that you can't go down with campers or vans.
Yeah, that's
Put a barrier across that you can only go in and park your car and go down to your beach and go wherever, so a camper can't go down into it, and therefore just don't allow anybody down onto the sand dunes. That airport's a key element to Donegal. And it's a key element for Dublin, up and down to Dublin. It's a key element now for Glasgow. You have extra flights. We can't have this destroyed with the sand dunes been destroyed. So I think it'd be a fantastic idea. Put barriers up, put a gate on it, but have it that people can still go for their walks, take their dogs, do whatever they want to do.
Absolutely.
And for the local farmer, he's a lovely man. Let him use it for what he's doing with his cattle, but have it controlled that there's no campers or no tents on it. That's what I'm saying. You know,
that's a very fair point, John, and a point well made. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Oh, John, look after yourself. It's the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio. It is 12 minutes to 10. Short break. Back after these.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Fabric World's hot summer sale now on, with fabulous discounts on curtain and upholstery fabric and half-price pots in our garden department. Summer sandals and fashion from £10. Crafty deals, 3 fabric pieces for £12. And there's always great Euro rates at Fabric World, Maydown, Derry.
Your dream Donegal wedding starts here. Join us at the award-winning Villa Rose and Jackson's Hotel Wedding Showcase in Ballybuffet, Saturday 9th of August, 12 to 5 p.m. Meet our dedicated wedding team, enjoy light refreshments and start imagining your unforgettable day. No appointment needed. Visit gallangroup.com for more details.
Hello Sunshine, are you summer ready? Clear vision indoors and sun protection outdoors, whether you're after fashion, function or both. At Inish Eye Care, your local family-run opticians, they have a fabulous offer of free sunglasses when you purchase your new glasses from their exclusive range. Call into the team at Inish Eye Care at Carndonna Shopping Centre or 14 Ardravin Square, Buncrana for expert advice on how to keep your eyes healthy this summer. Some terms and conditions apply.
Love Kia as much as we do? Then you need to visit iMotors. Choose petrol, diesel, hybrid or go electric with the award-winning EV3, World Car of the Year. And of course, our celebrity, the Kia Sportage. Donegal's best-selling car. From everyday drives to bold adventures, there's a Kia for every journey. Visit imotors.ie today.
iMotors, fearless generation.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenney's. Find amazing savings across our departments with up to 50% off your favourite brands in our summer sale. Discover more in-store or shop online at mcelhenneys.com today.
And the weather forecast for today, Tuesday. Generally cloudy and wet this morning. Outbreaks of rain, a few thundery downpours are possible. Brighter weather with further showers extending gradually from the west through this afternoon and into this evening. Maximum temperatures today 16 to 19 degrees Celsius in moderate westerly breezes. And that's the way the weather is looking here on Highland Radio. Well, that's the forecast for the region anyway. So let's move on and go to Derek. Derek, good morning.
Good morning.
Derek, the passage of animals from Britain to Ireland, we know a lot of things are changing when it comes to movement between the two countries because of Brexit, etc., etc. But there are now new conditions which are being imposed on the movement of dogs and other animals from the UK to Ireland and vice versa that you want to discuss.
Yeah, it's just it came to light that my wife phoned up the ferry company about my annual holiday, which we've been doing for 37 years. Mm-hmm. 20 of them have been taking dogs to the public island. So when she phoned the ferry company, Donal, she was told that obviously there's no restrictions in Northern Ireland for any dogs apart from the animal health certificate and the microchips, which is fine. We do that every year. But then she just happened to mention the fact she's going to the Republic of Ireland, and the lady, the agent, obviously not really concerned with the south because she'll interest with obviously the ferry coming to Belfast, to raise awareness that the fact that they have to have a rabies jag. So Now, she did set him out at the time, and no blame on the lady, obviously, the fact that you have to see your vet and get this rabies jag, and you just have to download a form. So my wife, after booking the boat, contacted the vet, made an appointment down, and found it's a bit more convoluted than that. You have to actually have the jab, wait 21 days for immunisation period to set in, then go back. And it must also be the same person that takes the dog to the vet that's travelling with the dog. It has to do both. It can't be someone that takes it, gets the jab, and someone else can take the dog over. It has to be the same person, so it's quite strict that way, Donal. And then what happened was you have to wait 21 days, and you go back, you get the certificate for the rabies jag, then you can go, but you must travel the next day. The day you get the certificate, you can't travel that day either, so it's 22 days effectively. So we've lost out a week's holiday because of this as well, so we're just trying to raise awareness to the situation and anyone else going, because it seems to be, after speaking to the vet, there's a lot of concern and a lot of intake to this now that no one was aware of. I think it kicked in the 27th of the 6th of this year, that this was getting fully implemented. So another part of that as well, you have to get worming 24 hours before you travel, so you have to go back on the 31st, and you must travel in 24 hours of that. Worming to travel through the Republic of Ireland. So it's quite strict now, Donald, compared to what it used to be.
So are you travelling then from, and I'm going to make a presumption based on your accent, are you travelling from Stranraer to Larne?
Cairnryan.
Cairnryan to Belfast. Cairnryan to Belfast, sorry. So you are travelling into Belfast. Now, as you say, if you're travelling to Belfast and you're staying within the 6 counties of Northern Ireland, this isn't an issue.
No,
because it's obviously it's going to be treated as a domestic sailing on the geopolitical laws, right?
Exactly.
Okay, here's the question, and I'm going to ask the question. I'm going to ask this question bluntly and out loud, because this is the question many people are going to be asking themselves in their heads. You're obviously driving then through Northern Ireland, crossing in at Derry and travelling on to West Donegal. Who's checking?
Donegal, we've got Donegal,
Who's checking? And is it not the case that you could just do as you've always done, and you'll travel over and back between there and Dunlow with no difficulty? Because it isn't as though, and I'm saying this out loud, and I'm not in any way encouraging anyone not to obey regulations, but is this not a political change based on Brexit rather than a public health concern based on the changing public health environment?
Well, there's two answers to that. Obviously, Brexit was in 2020, and it took a long time to implement this, so I don't know why it's kicked in just now. So, I agree wholeheartedly with that. But at the same time, it's a bit of a risk to take for the wee dog. If we do go, because obviously the microchipping, if we were to get caught anywhere and I might check the microchip and we should come back to the north, it's more coming back, Donald. If you come back from the Republic, the north at the ferry might ask to see details where you've been.
Right.
And if you've been in the south and you have not had this rabies jab, then they would quarantine the dog for 21 days and probably give you a hefty fine. So the microchipping, yes, a lot of people might take the chance, but it is a risk to take to the wee dog being quarantined. And if you love your dog enough, you don't want to leave him in that situation, you know.
I see. So, I see. That does make sense.
It's not worth the risk, Donald. It's just not worth the risk.
And this hasn't been widely publicised as far as you can see, because it certainly seems to have taken you by surprise.
Well, it's taken me by surprise. You're meant to go on the 24th of June, and I can't go to the 1st of August now. July, sorry. I can't go to the 1st of August. So it's putting 7 days off my holiday, effectively. But it's not been well publicised, correct. I can't speak for what's happening over in the Republic and Northern Ireland, so I can only speak to what we see. It's not the sort of thing, because you've had 20 years of no issue, and the Brexit was 5 years ago, so you have no concern and no reason. If it wasn't for the ferry company, just happened to be saying to my wife, "Oh, you're going to the Republic, you need to get a rabies jab." So they mentioned, so my wife did the investigative work. But when she went to the vet has said this has raised a lot of concern. A lot of people are missing out on holidays. They didn't know about it. It's always a cost to it as well, Donald. So it's been quite a highlight to us, the fact that no one really knows about this. So it's been quite frightening. So my wife got in touch to obviously raise awareness to this more than anything. We're not complaining in any way, because obviously the legislation, but it does seem a bit. I think they could have publicised it a lot more widely, because a lot of Scotch and other parts go to Ireland. We go 5 times a year.
Yeah.
So we would net this one. But just to raise one other issue, Donald's came to my mind, if you don't mind.
Totally.
On the way back from the Republic of Ireland, you also have to get the worming done 24 hours before you come back. So you'll need to get a vet in the Republic of Ireland to get another wormer to get you back to obviously Scotland. So it's not just one way. It's not just one. It's a one-trip pony. You get one drive and that's it. It's because when you get the Worming going and then leaving 24 hours, and we have to do the exact same coming back. So it's quite concerning, and a lot of people might not take this in and then go think they just take over. Then they do, because new legislation, as you know, they might clamp down on it and be looking for people, especially with Scottish Cat or British Cars going through and saying they're a person with a dog. So not picking anyone, but I'm being blunt as you have been blunt, and that's the way the concern is. That's what you're worried about, you know, that you get picked out as far as like you see a dog with a British registration and they go, oh, let's just check that car out, and then you'll be dogs quarantined, you know. So it's not worth the risk. You know?
I'm also assuming, I mean, this is going to impose a huge extra cost.
Yeah, as well. I think there seems to be a variation in cost when you get the rabies jab. We've got a good vet and we're really reasonable, but I think it was £50 we paid, but I think somebody we know paid £100.
Yeah.
And then you've got to go back and get they won't give you the health certificate, so you go back to 21 days. So you go back to 21 days, and they could charge up to a couple £100 for that, Donal. So you could talk about the best part of £250 you could be paying for this. So yeah,
and the wormer coming back, presumably the wormer coming back also has to be administered by a vet, and you have to get certification to prove that that's been the case.
Yeah, you have to go to an authorised vet. It's the same going, obviously. An authorised vet, they have to stamp it. It's very strict. You have to be there. See, when I get the wormer, you have to be there with the vet and watch them take. It's like a tablet to take.
Yeah.
And you have to make sure they have to make sure the dog swallows it before they sign off a certificate. So it's really strict, Donal. It's very strict the way they're doing it, and it's went from one extreme to another. It's went from taking your dog willy-nilly to it has to be all this strict certification, and it is really strict. So anyone could get caught out with this, Donal.
Derek, thank you very much indeed for bringing it to our attention, and I'm sure a lot of people will be having pause for thought as a result of that. Pause for thought. Yeah, that's the bad pun of the day. There we go. Derek, thank you very much indeed.
Thanks for speaking to me.
Okay, thank you, Derek.
Bye-bye.
You have a great day. It's the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio. The news and obituaries with Katie are next.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today. Scientists have said Arena 7 fun levels rival riding a unicorn through space. And they're right, with bowling, laser quest, a kids adventure centre, a pool hall and more, all under one roof. Arena 7 in Letterkenny is your ultimate family destination this summer.
Foster carers are urgently needed in Donegal. If you have space in your heart and home, you could change a child's life. Contact Orchard Fostering today on 074 9706 109 or visit orchardfostering.ie, because every child deserves a safe and loving home.
Is féidir le drogaí áine sa dul a bhaid mar tar bheala éagsúla, ach cuireann siad ar fada isteachart agus tú ag tomaint. Is féidir le roinnt drogaí tú bhailiú, rud a ágan bhfuil buíoll an go nginne tú botún.
Cuireann drogaí eile farragar tí bhíir dom ruistíortha. Bhín tú ag tomaint ruisciúpaí.
Má bhín tú ag tomaint faoi cheannach ar drogaí is féidir leis tusa do chuid passionéirí agus daoine eile ar a móthar a chur amíl. Ná tomaint faoi cheannach ar drogaí go brach, ónúdar as umhaváilteocht ar bmhóire. Tour court at rsa.ie.
Callan Tansey Solicitors LLP are holding a personal injuries and medical negligence clinic in Donegal Town and Letterkenny. They will be in the Abbey Hotel, Donegal Town on Tuesday 15th of July and in the Clanry Hotel, Letterkenny on Tuesday 22nd of July from 11 a.m. until 3 p.m. on both days. To arrange an appointment, please contact 071 9162 032. In contentious business, a solicitor may not calculate fees or charges as a percentage or proportion of any award or settlement.
Who the hell are you? Get ready, Donegal. Highland Radio is throwing a party like no other. It's the Big Highland Summer Bingo Party, hosted with me, Keith Fletcher.
And me, Lee Gooch, Hawaiian shirts, hulas, how the hula are ya? Big laughs and even bigger cash prizes. With €1,000 up for grabs, expect big party tunes, madness and just a little bit of mayhem.
So, Saturday the 2nd of August at Jackson's Hotel, Ballybofey.
You better get your tickets quick on eventbrite.com.
Hey, what? Is it over 18s?
You better mention it's over 18.
Okay. And it's over 18s.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's Katie Gillan with the news at 10 o'clock. The Taoiseach says the 30% tariffs is a sobering threat from the US. Cabinet is being given an update today on the latest negotiations between the EU and America and the potential worst case scenarios for Ireland if a deal isn't done. Among the threats is a possible acceleration of job losses across a number of sectors. Micheál Martin says the government is planning as best it can.
This year we have sufficient capital, obviously, but we're going ahead on the basis of the projections that we currently have. In terms of both revenue and also in terms of availability of capital. But clearly, tariffs in the order of 30% would have a very severe impact on the economy.
There have been calls for updated statistics outlining the number and nature of collisions across the Lifford-Stranorlar Municipal District. Councillor Patrick McGowan says the number of crashes in the MD is concerning. He highlighted the N15 between the two main towns and on the N13 between Kilross and Drumkeen, particularly in the vicinity of the old N13 filling station, which has been closed for a number of years. Councillor McGowan says the council is losing funding as regular and uniform figures are not being presented.
It's very unclear as to who is responsible, who's gathering the figures and what are they doing with the figures, because there used to be a thing called minor accidents funding, but if they're not compiling the figures, then these so-called accident black spots could well be missed. We need the particular junctions remedied and fixed. But, it's going to be very, very hard to lobby departments for money if we don't have one proper record for the whole eight.
Concerns have been raised over the threat drones pose to people's privacy. It's after a woman said she was left feeling unsafe after a drone hovered above her house in Maharorty on Friday and fears photos of her and her children may have been taken. Speaking to Donal on this morning's 9 till noon show, Marjorie says the incident made her uncomfortable. She says laws need to be implemented to safeguard people in their own homes.
Now, obviously, I'm all for drones when they're used in the right way. You expect it in the public places. You wouldn't expect a drone to come right into your front door. Like the front door was open, all our windows were opened, and you could see clearly into someone's house using that, that piece of equipment. And I think it's terrible. The law obviously is that there's no law to say that that's illegal what was done, and I just think it's just surely it's not right that can be done and that nothing can be done about it.
The sale of battery electric vehicles in Donegal is up 45.11% in the first half of this year. 193 BEVs were registered in the county in the first 6 months of 2025 compared to 133 for the same period last year. The latest figures released by SIMI show registrations of all electric and hybrid vehicles now hold a combined market share of 58%. The Electric Vehicle Charging Alliance of Ireland says there is clear momentum in Donegal and elsewhere, and the government should prioritise investment and rollout of EV charging infrastructure. Mains repair works may cause supply disruptions to Glencroe Road, Moville and surrounding areas. Works are scheduled to take place until 4 o'clock this afternoon. Ishgaran recommend that those impacted allow 3 to 4 hours after the estimated restoration time for supply to fully return. Government ministers are getting an updated briefing today on the likely future of the UNIFIL mission in Lebanon. Irish troops have been involved in the mission for over 40 years, with 340 troops currently in Camp Shamrock. However, because of uncertainty over funding from the US, the United Nations Security Council will have to make a decision on UNIFIL's future by the end of August. Security analyst and former Defence Forces member Declan Power says Israel has lobbied strongly against the mission continuing.
Despite any criticisms, the US knew that having UNIFIL in place was better than not having it in place. It was the eyes and ears of the international community, and it still is. Now, this is where it gets really cynical at the moment. So now you have a situation where Israel is prevailing, it's lobbying within the US and within the UN to try and have the UNIFIL mission, at the very least, diminished, at the very best, from Israel's point of view, collapsed.
And now for the weather, a generally cloudy and wet start today with outbreaks of rain and a few thundery downpours are possible. Brighter weather along with further showers will extend gradually from the west through the afternoon and evening. Maximum temperatures of 16 to 19 degrees. That's all from the newsroom for now. We'll be back with the headlines at 11 o'clock. The obituary notices for this Tuesday morning, July 15th. The death has taken place of Philomena Gallagher, née Harton, number 10 St Columkill Village, Clonmany, formerly of Main Street, Creasla. Funeral arrangements to be confirmed later. For family information and more details regarding wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Switch to 3 and get the super smart, super fast iPhone 16 from as little as €0 upfront when you trade in. Switch at your local 3 store today. Subject to trade-in minimum acceptance criteria and annual price increase of CPI plus 3% on 3 select Freedom 5G plan. 24-month minimum term and direct debit apply. See 3.e for details.
Welcome back to the second hour of the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio. It's Donal Kavanagh with you until 12 midday today. Now, hang on. Bear with me, that's better. Just trying to figure out which buttons to press here. Today's July 15th, which means it's St. Swithin's Day, which is associated with a traditional weather superstition. According to folklore, the weather today determines the weather for the next 40 days. If it rains on St. Swithin's Day, it's believed it'll continue to rain for 40 days. And if it's fair on St. Swithin's Day, then 40 days of fair weather will follow. Do you believe in this superstition? Now, I haven't seen any rain out there yet. The key word is yet, because the forecast is suggesting we'll get a bit of rain over the course of the morning and then it'll brighten up. So I think what we're going to have today with the weather is confused. So the weather today will be confused, and the weather for the next 40 days will be confused. Which wouldn't be anything new for an Irish summer, I suppose. But hey, do you believe in the St. Swithin's Day tradition? And if so, let us know. I was at St. Swithin's tombstone, because St. Swithin is buried in Winchester Cathedral, and I have relatives that live just outside Winchester, and we were over there with them. We had just come into Southampton and we were preparing to fly home, and we had a day sort of between arriving in Southampton early in the morning and going back to Belfast from Southampton Airport that evening. So we spent the day with our relatives, cousins in Winchester, and we had a great day, and visiting St. Swithin's grave was one of the things that we did. Now, we spoke earlier to John about the mess created by camper vans and campers and so on. Caller says, these people are visitors. Most are not causing problems. They are helping the economy. Another caller says, I'm from Carrickfinn. I can say there is no mess at all. I don't know what that caller is on about. Now, regards parking obstructing traffic at Portsalon on the beach, there are cars parked at both sides of the road. If an ambulance were passing through, it wouldn't get through. There are no yellow lines. It happens every year. I had to reverse down through Kerrykeel because if a car came, you wouldn't get through. A car park is needed. Now, I do know, actually, we would visit Portsalon a fair bit. I know exactly what you mean with regards to that road heading down toward Portsalon. It can be difficult. Caller says, I agree. This is, I think, the Castle Shanahan roadworks. Now, I was suggesting that maybe this is the right time to do it because the children are out of school for the summer, so you don't have that school traffic. Caller says, yeah, I agree. It's probably the best time of the year to do roadworks, but give us diversions and advance warnings. Fair point. Caller says, how you doing, Donal? I was listening there. A little birdie told me you're a good singer, or could that be a Waterford whisper? Well, I sing now, and there can be a gulf of a difference between being a good singer and singing. I project loudly, relatively in tune, and we'll just leave it at that. They call that estate in Dunlow the Leaning Swamp View, and similar to the housing estate on the news last night that failed the capacity to be connected to the grid. Bright sparks indeed, and that's from Kevin in Dunlow. And a very good morning to you, Kevin. Waterford Whispers, hey, anyone who loves Waterford Whispers is a friend of mine. I left Ramelton at 10 to 6 last evening. A journey that should have taken me 45 minutes took me an hour and 47, and that was with roadworks at Newtown finished for the day. Happy birthday to Mark McCready, the Glebe Letterkenny, celebrating his 40th birthday today from Mum, Dad, Jacqueline, George and the rest of the family. So Mark, a very happy birthday to you. Now, we were speaking earlier on about drones, and we were speaking to Marjorie, who had an experience in Maharorty. Now, a caller says, and this is an interesting one, Maharorty could possibly be in a no-fly zone because of its close proximity to Donegal Airport, which is not all that far away in Carrickfinn. I live in Falcarra. I'm just outside that no-fly zone. Another caller says, similar to Marjorie's drone story, I have a neighbour with a ring doorbell camera. They know all my comings and goings. I have no privacy. What are the regulations for this? That's an interesting one. Now, I wouldn't have thought the ring doorbell camera would have had much of a wide scope, as it were. Maybe see someone passing in or out. Yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting one. I'm aware that such cameras exist. And I think you can actually now have a ring door camera, and you can actually access it remotely from your phone. So your phone can tell you there's someone at your front door, and you can actually literally click a button and see who's standing at your front door. I'm sure we're getting to the point, if we're not there already, where there can be a little speaker on your doorbell, and the person may ring the door, and you can come on from wherever you are and say, "Oh yeah, listen, sorry, I'm in the shop. If you just leave the package around the corner, just tucked in behind the bin, I'll be home in half an hour." And that could be where we're going, he said. And we very well may be there already. I'm not sure what the situation is there. Another caller says there was a case in Strabane a few years ago where a property owner stopped a building contractor from operating the arm of a crane over their property. The court held that a property owner is also the owner of the airspace above the property. The building contractor in this case was forced to use an alternative method to complete the work. This was a well-publicised case at the time. I do have a vague memory of a discussion about a crane in Strabane. Now, I stress it is a vague memory, and we'll have to see. Now, I'm looking at the chat which is on the screen in front of me. The caller is saying the Jesus and Mary chain and the Teenage Fan Club here. A fan. Yep, I would absolutely love Teenage Fan Club, actually. Great band. Jesus and Mary Chain. I don't know all of their stuff. I would know some of their stuff, and any of their stuff I've heard I like. Was it Psycho Candy was their big album? But yeah, they're yep. But certainly Teenage Fan Club, yep. Sparky's Dream, absolute classic. So good morning to Christian, who has been engaging with us on the chat. Teenage Fan Club, yep. Any fan of Teenage Fan Club is a friend of mine. I was looking at the paper today, specifically the Irish Sun, and there's a story inside, and it just says, MasterChef meltdown. BBC accused John of racism, then asked him to quit on fake mental health grounds. Now this is, you'll know that Greg Wallace, who was one of the two original stars of MasterChef, is now persona non grata because of a number of claims that have been made against him. It now transpires that the BBC told the other MasterChef presenter at the time, John Turode, to pretend he had mental health issues after accusing him of racism. The stunned Aussie was asked to resign over the week, and after being dragged into the Greg Wallace scandal, he was cited but not named in findings published yesterday over a racist remark he allegedly made during a private conversation. There wasn't a complaint at the time, but it was raised with investigators. The BBC was unable to specify the time or date of the allegation, narrowing it down to 2018 or 2019, and he was asked to resign from the beleaguered show last week and claim he had mental health problems, and he refused. He has issued a statement to The Sun confirming he was the individual in the Wallace investigation who was alleged to have used racial language on one occasion. However, he believes it never happened. Yeah, there's things. Yeah, it's a difficult one, because effectively what's happening here is someone told someone that they heard someone say something about 6 years ago, as far as I can see. And when the actual citation says it was said sometime in 2018 or 2019, yeah, it's a difficult one. This is the 9 till noon show. It is 10:15 on a Tuesday morning. That means that in just a few moments we will have our Garda information slot, so you can hear the latest appeals from Garda for your assistance, and we'll also get some information and perspectives from Garda as well. But before any of that, we'll take this short break.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
It's time for Vision Ireland Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Tuesday the 15th of July. You're playing on the brown sheet for the daily prize of €1,000. The reference number is S2. It's game number 29. The numbers are 23, 90, 81, 66, 6, 18, 72, 48, 11, and finally 68. Phone your claim to 9104833 before midnight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your Vision Ireland bingo information at highlandradio.com.
Looking for a great day out right here in Donegal? Step into the Crawley Distillery Visitor Experience. Proudly voted one of the best places to visit by TripAdvisor. Set in a beautifully restored historic building, it's where the story of Crawley whisky comes to life. Take a guided tour, explore the rich history and enjoy a warm fáilte in the heart of the Gaeltacht. Book now at thecrawleydistillery.com.
PDO thread lifts and skin boosters, which rejuvenate the skin by improving facial contours, lifting and tightening the jowls, neck, cheeks and eyebrows, are available at Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic, Gweedore. To choose the right aesthetic treatment for you, contact Mary Ferry, your aesthetic practitioner. Also offering fat dissolving treatments, dermal fillers and laser treatments for all skin conditions. Hair and makeup packages also available. Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic, Gweedore. 07495 325 75.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account. Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com.
You're welcome back to the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio, and those of you who are watching us on our YouTube feed on Highland Radio Ireland or on our Facebook pages will already see that our next guest is sitting and raring to go. She needs no introduction. All I have to do is press one button and you'll know who we're talking about.
The Community Garda information slot is brought to you by Sheridan Security Systems, monitoring homes and businesses in the northwest for intruder, fire, panic and medical signals. Call Sheridan Security on 91 26025.
Garda Grania Doherty, good morning.
Good morning, Donal.
Could you get nice and close to that mic, please, Grania? I know he probably gives you grief about this all the time as well. You need to get really good in close.
No.
Right, even closer. What you have to say is important. It needs to be heard. Grania, quite a bit to get through actually, so we're going to begin with a collision that people will have heard covered obviously on news and other media as well over the past couple of days, a collision in Creasla on Sunday.
Yes, Garda are appealing for witnesses to the single vehicle road traffic collision. It occurred on the N56 in the area of Derry Fad, so that's between Creasla and Termon, on Sunday the 13th of July, shortly after 4:15pm. A motorcycle was involved in the collision. It had been travelling from the Creasla area towards Termon when the collision occurred. The driver of the motorcycle sustained serious injuries, but they're not believed to be life-threatening in nature. We're appealing to anybody who may have witnessed this collision to make contact with Garda in Ballyshannon on 071 985 8530, and as always, if anybody travelled along that route with a dash cam between 4pm and 4:30pm, we would ask them to make that footage available to us, please.
And another weekend collision, this one happened the day before, between Rossnowla and Ballyshannon.
Yes, this collision was involving two vehicles and it occurred on the R231 in the area of Creevy on the Rossnowla Road on Saturday the 12th of July, shortly after 12:40pm. One of these vehicles was travelling in the direction of Rossnowla, the other was travelling in the opposite direction when this collision occurred. The two drivers were taken to hospital to receive medical treatment. One of the drivers sustained serious but non-life-threatening injuries and the other sustained non-life-threatening injuries. If anybody observed this collision, we're asking them to contact Garda in Ballyshannon on 071 985 8530. Again, we're always appealing for dash cam. It's invaluable to us in our investigations. So if any road users travelled in that area with a dash cam between 12:30pm and 12:45pm, we're asking them to please make that footage available to investigating Gardaí.
Absolutely. Now, an alleged assault that occurred at Lower Main Street, Letterkenny, in the early hours of yesterday.
Yes, we're appealing for witnesses in relation to this incident, an alleged assault. It occurred in the area of Lower Main Street, Letterkenny, in the early hours of Monday the 14th of July, between approximately 3:10am and 3:15am. One man was assaulted by three males outside a takeaway at that location around that time. The injured man was taken to Letterkenny University Hospital. He had received treatment for injuries which are not believed to be life-threatening in nature. CCTV has been sought. It has been viewed from the area. It has been established that one of the males involved in this incident, he was wearing a black t-shirt with a crest on the front, beige shorts, black runners and black socks. Another of the males was wearing a blue long-sleeved shirt, denim jeans, white runners, and the third male was wearing a black t-shirt, dark denim jeans and brown shoes. So immediately following the incident, two of the males left on foot on further down Lower Main Street, and the third male left in the direction of the Oliver Plunkett Road. So from viewing the CCTV, we've ascertained that quite a number of people were present in the area at the time of this incident. So we're asking them, if they haven't already spoken to Garda and they witnessed what occurred, to come forward and speak to us. We're also appealing to anybody who may have travelled at Lower Main Street or in the area of the Oliver Plunkett Road between 3 a.m. and 3:30 a.m. with a dash cam to make that footage available to us. So Garda and Letterkenny can be contacted in connection with this incident on 9167100, and as with all of our incidents today, the Garda confidential line can be contacted on 1800 666 111.
And again, this shows the importance of cameras, because access to that CCTV has given you so much already, and if you can get more off a dash cam, all the better. You can actually build up an even bigger picture of what happened.
Yeah, of course. The more footage that we have, the better,
Another assault, this one in Buncrana.
Yes, this incident, it's an alleged assault that occurred in the area of Angrainen Park in Buncrana between 20 past midnight and 20 to 1 in the morning on Monday the 14th of July. So Gardaí received a report that a woman had been assaulted by a man at that location, and we believe that someone in the area attempted to intervene in the incident by shouting. We're appealing to that person in particular to please get in contact with Gardaí in Buncrana on 932 0540 as we wish to speak with them. Of course, if anybody else was in that area and witnessed what occurred, also we're asking them to contact Gardaí in Buncrana. A man has been arrested in connection with the incident.
This is the sort of one that really, really gets my goat, actually. Swings damaged in a park in Churchill.
Yes, so we're appealing for the assistance of the public in relation to this incident. It's a criminal damage incident. It's believed to have occurred between 6 p.m. on Sunday the 6th of July and 9 a.m. on Monday the 7th of July at the community park in Churchill. Substantial damage was caused to the swings in that park between those times, and we're anxious to hear from anybody who may be able to assist with any type of relevant information. And as you said, it's a sickening incident, and you see unfortunately these incidents, you see them from time to time in play parks and community areas, and there's so many voluntary groups and community groups that put so much effort, hard work into maintaining and upkeeping and fundraising, for the upkeep of these areas. So we're really anxious now to get to the bottom of this one, and we'd appreciate if anybody can assist with any relevant information to contact Garda in Milford on 9153060, and the confidential line again 1800 666 111.
And hopefully this one will be solved, because anything that sort of imposes on a park like that really is the lowest of the low. Let's go to Trevor Carrigan's a quad stolen from a yard there.
Yes, so an orange and black Kubota quad bike was stolen from a yard in the area of Tubber Carrigan's between 6 p.m. on Wednesday the 9th of July and sometime in the early hours of Thursday the 10th of July. The quad was located at Alta Dairy Carrigan's at 3:26 a.m. on the Thursday morning. So 2 males had been observed dumping the quad into a ditch in that area and fleeing the scene. We're appealing to anybody who may have observed this stolen quad in use on the roads within the Carrigan's area to get in touch with us. We're appealing to anybody who may have travelled in the area of Alta Dairy Carrigan's or within the general Carrigan's area between 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. with a dash cam to please come forward with that footage to us. We're particularly interested in any sightings of a grey Audi with English registration plates that is believed to have been in the area with 4 males on board. Any relevant information can be passed to Garda in Buncrana on 932 0540.
Staying in the Inishowen area, and 2 cars broken into in Buncrana at the weekend.
Yes, these both happened on the same date actually. So on Saturday the 12th of July, 2 cars were broken into. One of the cars had been parked in the car park at Doonree Beach between 4:15 p.m. and 7 p.m. And when the owner returned to her car, she discovered that the front passenger window had been smashed. A grey M&S shoulder bag, it had been covered with a cardigan and left sitting in the passenger footwell. The contents of that bag, a black Hermes wallet, a medical card, bank card, an ID card and a small amount of cash had been stolen from the car. The second car then, that was parked along the hard shoulder at Lisfannon Beach on the same date between 7:30 p.m. and 8:10 p.m, during which time again the passenger side window was smashed, and a black handbag and contents, a number of bank cards, an ID card and a substantial amount of sterling cash and a Northern Irish driving licence that had been left within the bag was stolen from the footwell of that car also. We're appealing to anybody who may have observed any type of suspicious activity at either of those locations on that date to come forward to Gardaí. If anybody can assist with any information, we'd like them to contact us in Buncrana on 9320540. And it's just a timely reminder. And saying this, I'm always conscious we don't want to proportion any type of blame onto the people involved in these incidents. But it's just maybe a timely reminder to people, because more people are taken to the outdoors. Maybe not this week now with the rain, but certainly last week. And hopefully the weather will improve again. So just, if you are going out and about, you're going to beauty spots, beaches, wherever you're going, just be aware of car security. Try and park in a secure location if possible. Always ensure that you've locked your car. Don't leave anything worth stealing within sight. And please don't make the mistake of trying to hide your belongings within the car once you've parked up. You just don't know who's there, who's watching. Leave all valuables at home if at all possible. And most importantly, report any suspicious activity you see in car parks, beaches, beauty spots, anywhere really. If you ever see anybody in around snooping around cars, contact Garda immediately and make us aware.
Now, I have to be honest, I'm one of those who will just chuck a jumper over something on the front seat and assume that it's going to be grand.
But it is done, and a lot of people do it, and I think everybody thinks it is going to be grand, but incidents such as these prove that it isn't always grand, so it's best to be to take caution.
Right, let's go back to last week. There was an appeal with regards to a tractor that was stolen, and some good news to report.
Yes, so we always like the good news story. So the appeal was made last week in relation to the theft of a Case International tractor. It was stolen between July 4th and 7th from the Burnfoot area. So we're happy to report this week that following the media appeal last week, the tractor was located later that day, actually July 8th, within the Bridgend area. The investigation is ongoing into the theft of this tractor, but thankfully the tractor has been recovered and returned to its owner. So we'd like to thank the member of the public who contacted us following the appeal, and also thank the public in general for their ongoing assistance with our weekly appeals.
Let's go back to scams. And we discuss scams so often on the show, but it needs to be done, because I think we're all at the point now where every one of us is getting regular calls, texts, emails with regards to scams. To the extent that it's you could almost fall into it without even thinking, but so much of this is still happening. And another one claiming to be from the bank.
Yeah, and I know we're always mentioning scams. This is one that I wanted to mention in particular. This is a call that I received yesterday while at work, actually, and I, being honest, was very close to being caught out myself. It appeared for all the world to be genuine, and that's why it worried me. I thought maybe if I can stop somebody else from getting caught out by this, just would mention it today and make them aware. I was at work yesterday. I received a call from a man who he was purporting to be. He did name the bank that I happened to bank with, so that was the first. Thought that it might be genuine. He said, "I'm ringing from the fraud team with bank. I'll not name the bank." But anyway, he said that a couple of transactions had been attempted on my account yesterday morning. And he said, "I just want to call over these transactions to you. You can tell me, do you recognise them or not? It's just a security measure." So for the first one he called out was for quite a large amount of money. And I said, "No, definitely not. Don't recognise that one." And the second one that he named out is a direct debit that I would have coming out of my account on a weekly basis. Now, I couldn't just think at the time, did it come out on a Monday or Tuesday, but it was the right amount to the right company. So then I started to doubt myself. I waited and I thought, this seems quite genuine now, because how would he know that? And I said, "No, that's a genuine, that transaction should come out today or tomorrow from my account." So then he said, "Seeing as you didn't recognise the larger of the two transactions, we have to cancel your card, just, to be cautious, I suppose. So I'm going to issue a new card." Now, he had my correct name at the start of the call also, so that's important to mention. Yeah. He then said he'd issue a new bank card to me. He called out my correct address to me and said that that's where the card would be posted to within 3 to 5 business days. So automatically then he had my name, he had my address, he had knowledge of a genuine direct debit that does come out of my account on a weekly basis. So the red flag then hit when he asked me for my user ID, and I queried this, as to why he needed my user ID. I said, "You have my bank details there in front of you. You're calling from the bank, so why do you need my user ID?" So he said he wished to verify my account. So at this stage then a red flag did raise with me, so I ended the call, I hung up, and I contacted the Bank of Ireland directly. I looked up their fraud line and I contacted them directly. So they did automatically, when they heard the story, they said, "It's automatically, that's a fraud, block the number." So I did. I hung up, I blocked the number straight away. So I just want to make people aware of that this morning. This call did seem to me, for all the world, to be genuine, and I don't want anybody to get caught out by it, because it was from actually a landline, an Irish landline number also, that called me. So we're just advising people, never provide your personal or financial details. Like the lady in the bank said to me, that's something that the bank would never ever do. They would never request your private user ID for your online banking. So something to be aware of. Don't ever give out your personal or financial details to anybody via phone call, message or by email. Should anybody receive this type of call or an email or a text requesting any type of personal details, don't correspond with them. If it's a phone call like that, hang up. Look up the genuine number for the Bank of Ireland security team. Contact AAB, PTSB, whatever bank you're with. Contact them. They'll be more than happy to help you. Just verify the matter, and it could be quite costly, if you fall, not to do so. It's only a quick phone call to the bank and you can verify the matter, and that's what I did. But I just wanted others to be aware this morning in case that call is doing the rounds at the minute. And as you say, there's so many types of scams.
But I do think, and that's the one thing, every bank, irrespective of which bank it is, every bank, this is the thing they say more than anything else, they will never under any circumstance ask you to divulge any form of password, PIN number, ID, whatever, over a phone. And it is becoming scarily accurate, the information that they have.
It is, and that's what worried me. The fact he had my correct name, my correct address, and knowledge of a direct debit that does come out on a weekly basis. And it's only when he asked for the user ID, the red flag raised with me. I wasn't willing to give my user ID, and I told him that. But just for other people to be aware, because for all the world it did appear to be, you would be very easily duped by a call like that.
Of course.
So just for people to be aware, and maybe let others know, anybody that might be vulnerable or elderly, if you have any neighbours or friends or family members, just make them aware that this call may be doing the rounds. And
again, the bottom line in all of these circumstances is, look, if you're in any doubt whatsoever, say thank you very much, hang up and call the company back. It happened to me. I actually had it was an email that I got and I was just iffy about it, and it was to do with Eircom. Now I actually rang Eircom and I said, hello, my name is, this is my account number, and I said, look, can I verify that this, as it happened, it was genuine.
Oh yeah, well, that can happen
which
too.
Is fine, it was. Yeah. Now, but I'm actually sure, I'm fairly positive now, I am now so worried, alert to the possibility of scams, I have probably ignored genuine communications. And I'm waiting for the day when I'm going to find out that something has, my insurance or something's been cancelled because they've been trying to contact their calls, and I've ignored them completely. And you know what? If that happens, it happens, and we'll get over that bridge. But maybe that happened better than losing half the money in your account.
Well, I would say in this instance they're probably lucky they didn't get access to my account. They'd probably end up owing money.
Fair enough. I know that feeling. Garda Doherty, thank you very much indeed. And again, as we always do, just to repeat the confidential line number again, if anyone has any information on any of these issues, obviously they can contact any Garda station, their own local Garda station, or the confidential line as well.
Yeah, so the confidential line is 1800 666 111, and when you call that number as well, just it's important to note that you're not getting through to a human being on the other end of the phone. So just if you have something that you wish to divulge, it's like an answering machine. You'll hear a bleep and you leave your message. There's no obligation on you whatsoever to leave any of your own details, your name or your own details on there.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, John.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
If you're aged 59 to 70, we will invite you for a free HSE bowel screening home test. Screening can help find signs of bowel cancer early, before any symptoms show, making it easier to treat.
It's been 10 years of the best, you'll never guess what, texts. 10 years of I wish you were here video calls. 10 years of businesses shouting, we got our first sale. And for 10 years in a row now, Vodafone have won Ireland's best mobile network, helping you stay connected to what matters most. Vodafone. Together, we can. Certified by Umlaut. See Vodafone.ie for terms.
Connolly's Audi Sligo is bringing the showroom to you. Join us on Canal Road, Letterkenny from July 14th to 19th for the 252 Audi All Access Test Drive event. Experience the thrill of driving the all-new Audi A5, the impressive Audi Q7 or the refined Audi A6 all in one place. Explore our full range of petrol, diesel, plug-in hybrid and fully electric Audi models. Don't miss this chance to test drive your dream car with Audi Sligo. To book your appointment, call 071 911 5333 or visit connellys.ie.
Travelling to Dublin for business? Donegal Airport's same-day return makes it easy. Fly out at 7:55 a.m. and return at 6:50 p.m. Great fares and low-cost parking. Save time and book now at aerlingus.com. Terms and conditions apply.
Make great photos into beautiful gifts at McGee's Chemist Letterkenny. Different gift ideas include canvas prints, freestanding or ready-to-hang art blocks, and personalised photo books, perfect to mark any occasion. There's also jigsaws, calendars, mugs, and much more. For details, visit mcgees.ie. Turn your favourite moments into something truly special with McGee's Chemist Letterkenny.
Don't delay when you get your bowel screening invitation. Call us today on 1-800 45 45 55 or visit bowelscreen.ie. From the HSE.
This is the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio. Just looking back over some of your comments, I can't understand people throwing rubbish. I was in Austria recently, and during the week I was there, I saw one piece of rubbish. We were up mountains and drove hundreds of miles. It's a beautiful, clean country. We should be looking at their laws and education system and learning from it. And that's from one of our listeners. Now, yesterday on the news, we covered the fact that once again there was no water in the Falcara area. Uisce Éireann were hopeful that they would have supplies restored by yesterday evening, but they acknowledged it might continue into today. And by all accounts, it has continued into today. Joined on the line by Councillor Michael McClafferty. He is the Cathaoirleach of the Glentees Municipal District and also from that Cloughaneely area. Michael, good morning.
Good morning, Donal. Good morning, listeners.
Michael, sadly, this is not the first time we have had this conversation. Once again, the area around Falcara, water issues, and you, to say the least, are angry.
Yeah, it's no good, Donal, to be quite honest about it. The whole thing's a mess here at the moment, like in a real big mess. People here this morning have no water. Despite Uisce Éireann, sent back an email to one of our TDs there this morning, actually Pat the Cope Gallagher, forwarded it on to me, saying that they should have water in that area and so on. Subsequent to that, some people have got in touch all right. They do have a bit of water, but it's only a trickle, it's not enough. Other people outside of Falcara, Maharorty, I just put up, as the last post I actually put up on my Facebook page there from the message I received there this morning from the Maharorty area, if anybody wants to read it. There's no water, no nothing over Maharorty, like, nothing. The reason the town has water at the minute is because they're juggling about with valves here. Don't get me wrong, the local water crew we have are second to none. They're doing their best, same as the crew we have in Titanic, like we do everywhere else. No matter where they are through Donegal, they do their best. But what the crews are faced with this morning and this night, and probably tomorrow again, they're juggling about with valves, robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Yeah.
Falcara, I understand at the minute has water as we speak. The town has water as we speak, but I feel like the perimeter outside of the town then has little to no water, and anybody in high ground has zero water. So we're not getting the situation addressed. Like we're just massaging around the taps here, and that's all going on here. Like, and I've asked on Saturday afternoon, Donal, for Irish Water, Uisce Éireann to roll on water tankers to Donegal, and they refuse to do it. Possibly the warmest day going in the country we had so far was Saturday, possibly Sunday too, but certainly Saturday, and the wouldn't send tankers.
Stay with us, Michael. I want to talk, Michael, to Eddie McFadden, who is a shop owner in the area. Eddie, for some of us, not having water is going to be an inconvenience. For you, not having water means part of your custom, part of your business is gone.
I know it's very bad. If we were let us know that we were going to have no water, we were ready for it, but we didn't even know. We came in yesterday morning, and people come in here every morning to get their frank and honest coffee, and no water for them, for nearly 2 hours. And what they call it, the same this morning. They're in from maybe 6:30 onwards, and about 7:15 we had no water. Well, say 7 o'clock, we had no water till now. It's only after going on about 9:45 there now, and we can't even wash our pans and our put stuff down the back, for picking prep ready and all that, because we have no water to do it. And then we also have a big heater upstairs, and we have to make sure that we don't use any water, because if that goes dry, you're talking maybe about 10 or 12,000, maybe more, to to get it fixed, or not even get it fixed, to get a new one, because I don't think they can fix them anymore. Like, you know, but that's the kind of problem we have. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, you know, I know Michael's doing his best for the parish here. Like, you know, he's taxing everybody, and there's no one. Fair play to him, like, for doing that. Like, and only for that, we wouldn't have known what's happening. Like, and good man, Michael.
And the reality from your point of view is you can't plan, because can you be confident that you'll have water to make coffee tomorrow?
No. We can't. We won't know. We won't know until I come in tomorrow morning, switch on the machine, and the lights starts splashing red, saying no water. So we have to switch it off.
And that's like, losing you custom. And it also may well be that someone who normally would call into you to buy their coffee is going to say to themselves, "Oh, I'm not sure they're going to have coffee in the shop. Do you know what? I'll just grab some Nescafe and make a cup here myself at the house before I leave." And that is literally losing you money.
That's losing me money, because even this morning, like before I noticed it, like there was a few cups done and no water, and that's me losing money right away by them doing coffee. They didn't know that I had no water, and I didn't know myself till I came around the corner. Then I seen the cups there. I said, "Oh." But anyway, and then what do you call it? I had to switch it off then, and the people that are there every morning, you're talking maybe 12, come in every morning for the frank and honest coffee and nothing. And I wouldn't mind if I knew about it, yes, but I knew nothing about it until people started saying, "You have no water ready in your thing." What can I show? The man says, "What can I show you running here?" No, it's just, what can I show? It's Irish water running. So it's just not my fault, it is, but it's just they're just not doing their job, and they're not looking after us at all.
Well, fair play to you. You got 2 plugs in for the coffee in the course of one brief interview. Fair play to you for that, Eddie. Fair play indeed. I'm going to go back to you, Michael, because I mean, okay, we're laughing, but this is a very serious situation. Michael, you and I have covered numerous meetings of Glenties Municipal District, and I've heard you and others say on numerous occasions we need to get Irish water into the MD. We need to get Irish water into the council for, and let's say it for the third time, a frank and honest discussion about water provision in that whole area. And you say not only do you want such a meeting to take place soon, you want that meeting to take place in front of the media. You want that meeting to take place in public.
Yes, 100%, Donal. That's what I want this time. In fairness, we were scheduled to have a meeting a week yesterday in the Radisson Hotel in Kilkenny with Irish Water, and then apparently for unforeseen reasons had to be rescheduled. Then cancelled. Actually, wasn't rescheduled, it was cancelled. And the stairs now, before we went on to Highland Radio here this morning, I just checked yesterday, as Don Marie asked me to go on. I just checked the emails, and there's word here now, and there's a meeting scheduled for September. But that's too far away, far too far away. Scheduled for September, and they will put forward the request that I have asked for a public meeting. I've asked for that public meeting this week if possible, with our elected members, with our TDs, as you right to say, with the media, because I need you guys there. I want the media there this time. The more I think about it, we've been fooled ourselves all along, going into hotel rooms to meet with these people and schedule dates. No media, no public, no nothing. They were telling us whatever, they're a load of waffle, the way to the work, and we're away home. And you want it right home, so the water's broken down again. You were asking for commitments, you couldn't get them. So my point of view is like the email I sent this morning that you saw there, that you alluded to. I want the public to see themselves, invite the public into hall, whatever, and let them see themselves firsthand what we as councillors, TDs, or elected members have to deal with. Because at the end of the day, this now has turned into a private situation with Irish Water. So let them tell the story now to the public. No more behind closed hotel doors, no one thing another. So-called workshops that's supposed to be private to ourselves and all this carry on. It's gone beyond. It's too serious. I have situations here, as Eddie rightly pointed out there this morning. Obviously, all the people didn't get their coffee and whatnot, going to work and one thing, and that's very important, those people in the morning. But what about the people then, Donal, since last night that are phoning me to site and texting 12 o'clock at night? Bad situations, they can't flush toilets, they can't wash, no hygiene, etc. so on, home helps. People with small children, people that I get washes done, people with newborn babies, all that kind of stuff, the elderly. And paramount on top of all of that, the people with serious medical situations that need access to water when they need it right round the clock 24/7, beyond their control, they need access to it.
Yeah.
They don't get access to it then. I know in some cases they don't get access to it then, Donal, as happened before here. It upsets then the situation then with medical points and not going to the hospital and so on, because obviously they're unable to get showered and one thing and another. And general stuff that they need to do and general preparations they need water for alongside their medical situations. They don't have water, they can't do that. The other situation as well, people say, go down to the shop, get a bottle. They go down to the shop, all right. If you go down to the shop, us here Saturday, Sunday, we ran out of water, like, where despite our best efforts, every other shop was the same. So it's okay seeing going down to the shop. You may go down to the shop, but if there's no water there, nobody's got a magic wand to get you bottles of water if you need it, like. So there's big and serious answers here. Donal, the Irish Water need to stop hiding from us, stop running from us. They need to come face to face to a public meeting and face the public and face yourselves as a media and any questions about this that people want to put to them, let them answer it then accordingly as they, whatever the answer may be for it then, and see then we'll get away with roughing them.
And what you've been told by Irish Water is, yes, they have plans to boost the reservoir supplies, yes, they have plans to boost the system, but it could be 2028 before that work is done. That's 3 years down the line.
Yeah, it means nothing, Donal, to be quite honest with you, at this stage, because it's meaningless to me when the warmest day, when I asked for water tankers to start rolling on the warmest day in Ireland, maybe the warmest day for God knows how many years, that they refuse to send water tankers. I have no hope at all, or no vision at all. Anything happening in a few years' time is just kicking the can down the road. Pardon the pun, but that's what it is. And it's just totally disrespectful to ourselves, to the public, to the media, to the people of Ireland and everything else. That's the way we're going forward, because the whole system here at the minute is broken and it's breaking and it's on the verge of collapsing. It is collapsing as we speak now, and it is collapsing. Like when you can't get coffee this morning in the shop or whatever the case may be, your system is collapsed as such. Irish Water, my 5 colleagues can back this up. They were there 3 or 4 months ago, the last meeting we had out in Radisson as well.
Yeah.
They spoke about hundreds of millions of profits. Hundreds of millions, Donal. But, you know, a million round here in the Tulcari area would make a hell of a difference, like for what's going on at the minute. We don't see any of it. They talk then about replacing mains, then we're going to put in 4 kilometres, 4 or 5 kilometre mains in the whole of the Glenties area. That's meaningless, waste of time, totally meaningless. There's supposed to be a situation going on behind me here as well, where I'm sitting here today in Dunfanny Street here. There's supposed to be a pipe to replace out there beside Forest School. That's troublesome. There's supposed to be another length of pipe replaced up in Chrysler there, Drumnarad there in Chrysler. It's giving trouble all the time.
Yeah.
I was sent that email one day. I thought that's great, brilliant. This is going to happen now towards the end of the year. There came another email then shortly afterwards, then contradicting what the other email said. So they don't even have the right story themselves, Donal, in the office. And I wouldn't even go with that kind of stuff because I see the way they carry on now. The right-handers know what the left-hand's doing in,
Michael,
in the office.
Sadly, Michael, it's not the first time we've had this conversation, and I suspect it's not the last time we're going to have that conversation. We're going to keep a very close eye on this. But for the moment, Councillor Michael McLafferty here of Glenties Municipal District, and Eddie McFadden, who's a shop owner in the area, who sells coffee, by the way. Thank you both indeed for taking part in our conversation this morning, and hopefully they'll get that immediate problem sorted in Falcarra. You'll get your water supplies back on track in Falcarra, Dunfanny, Maharorty and the surrounding areas, and we will be having, as I said, this conversation again in the future. And Michael, certainly we look forward to that meeting, and I can pretty well tell you, if Irish Water is going to hold a public meeting with the Glenties MD, I can pretty well guarantee you Highland Radio News will be there, and I'm sure our colleagues in Orna G and the papers etc. will be as well. But for the moment, Michael, Eddie, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Donal. Thanks, Eddie.
Okay, it's our pleasure. Right, that's Councillor Michael McLafferty there, and Eddie as well from the centre in the area. Okay, we're going to change tack completely. We're going to go to Zoom, and I'm delighted to say that we are joined on Zoom this morning by Minister of State at the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade, Neil Richmond. Neil, good morning.
Good morning, Greg. Thanks for having me.
Our pleasure. This is Donal, by the way. Greg's on a well-earned break.
Pardon,
you may have noticed I've suddenly developed hair. Neil, this is an interesting one because you have launched a major online consultation with a group of people that we talk about an awful lot, actually, and that's the Diaspora.
Absolutely. So the Irish government has a diaspora strategy. The current diaspora strategy lapses at the end of this calendar year. So I've been tasked by the Taoiseach Simon Harris to draft a new one, which will launch next April. But in order to make sure that the strategy is fit for purpose, that it truly encompasses what the Irish abroad wants from the Irish government, from the Irish people, I'm undergoing a massive diaspora strategy. So part of this has been in person. I've travelled to Glasgow, where Paki Bonner represented the Donegal people of Glasgow, needless to say. I've travelled to Warrington, London, Brussels, Boston, Philadelphia to hold in-person consultations, and I'll hold more in New York and Abu Dhabi and places like that. But crucially, what we've launched just last week is our online survey. Now, this is key. We haven't done this before. We want to hear from as many people abroad who have left Ireland in the last couple of years or in the last number of decades. We want to hear what they think, but we also want to hear from the increasing amount of people who return to Ireland about what more can be done to reduce the barriers to return at a micro level, as well as the massive macro issues that you discuss every day.
Yeah, well, I can tell you that Donegal, you're actually speaking to the right people here, because there's been a huge commitment to and focus on the diaspora in Donegal. We have the Tip O'Neill Awards, which honours members of the Donegal diaspora every year. There's been a diaspora office as such within Donegal County Council, specifically targeting the investment opportunities and other opportunities provided by the Donegal diaspora. And I mean, when the gathering happened a couple of years ago, Donegal was even way ahead of the curve of that one, and Donegal continues to have a very strong focus on and commitment to the diaspora. So you could do worse than talking to people up here, because they've been there before.
And we will be talking to people. Indeed, I'll be in Buncrana in October to give out the Tip O'Neill Award this year for diaspora. As I mentioned, I met with the Donegal Society in Glasgow, not just with Paki, but many other people from the organisation. We've had a number of people from Donegal, be it in the Oireachtas, both Senators Manus Boyle and Nicky Bradley, as well as Deputy Pat Cope Gallagher, attended our consultation for Oireachtas members. And of course, we want to hear from everyone, because the diaspora story is so varied. The people who left Ireland to go to England, like my uncle in the 1950s, are perhaps very different than the people who are leaving today. One of the things I've noticed in the early stage of the consultation is that, unlike before, so many people intend to return home. This is a temporary thing. And look, I did this myself. I spent 2 years abroad. My late mother wept at the airport thinking I'd never come home again. Sure, I was home 2 years later. But equally, in the meantime, between social media, internet, low-cost flights, I was able to get back and forth very, very regularly. But I certainly think the diaspora story from Donegal, it's one, to be quite frank, Donal, that has been fairly tragic over the years. People left for so many social and economic reasons, and people still leave for so many different reasons. And we want to capture that in our diaspora strategy. But one thing we really focus on in our work with the diaspora is that the Irish government of today and the Irish economy of today is very, very different than the one that went before. And we know that we owe our diaspora something. Those people who left in very difficult economic times, who sent money back, who have considered investment and trading operations that have led to the likes of PGIM setting up in Letterkenny, or large companies coming across the island. We also have a duty of care to perhaps those who have fallen on tougher times, those who, particularly in Great Britain and indeed in America, who went over very young, perhaps not as well educated. They're now of a certain age, they're not in great physical or mental health. And amongst those, sadly, are the fact that over 60% of survivors of institutional abuse emigrated as well. So we have a duty of care to them from a pastoral point of view. We'll spend over €16 million this year on our immigrant support programme, working with so many different groups and societies, Irish clubs, but also pastoral centres that are dealing with these issues on the ground on a daily basis.
What's the timing on the diaspora survey? When do you envisage having the online consultation complete? When do you envisage having an actual strategy written and ready for presentation and publication?
Absolutely. So the consultation's open now. Anyone can log on to ireland.ie to have their say. We'll close that website in November, and we'll write the strategy in time for it to be published in April of next year.
I want to move on to another issue that's very much occupying, if you'll pardon the unintended pun, people's minds at the moment, and that's the Occupied Territories Bill. Now, we know it's going back into committee stage. It's being rewritten and revised on a number of occasions since the original draft by Senator Francis Black. Do you believe that between that process, yourselves, the opposition and others can come up with an agreed wording where this Occupied Territories Bill can be finally adopted and brought into law?
Yeah, and I think this is the key thing. It's not about agreement on wording. There's no real political differences here. It is making sure that we produce a piece of legislation that stands up to international law and EU law. I absolutely believe that we can do that. The ICJ judgment of July of last year is the window that gave us the opportunity to do this. Absolutely, we'll be able to do it for goods. We have an open mind in relation to services, and we work very closely with the original sponsor of the bill, Senator Francis Black, to make sure that we can produce something that is appropriate. And I already have had discussions with my counterparts in Slovenia, in Spain, in Norway. They're ready to go, as are other EU partners, that if we manage to produce something that is legally sound, they're going to replicate that as well.
And the reference you just made there to services, that to a large extent has been the stumbling block in this whole area, because no problem over goods, it would appear. It's the inclusion of services in the bill. That was what was raising legal red flags to Minister Harris, to yourself and to others in government. Do you believe that is now in the process of, and ultimately will be, overcome?
It's in the process to seeing if we can produce something that is appropriate. I can't give the rock solid guarantee that it's going to be overcome. I'm not a lawyer, to be quite frank, Donal, but it is something that we're very open to, and we have no ideological opposition to, but we have to, and this goes back to the kernel of the issue, we have to make sure whatever we produce isn't just a statement, isn't just a protest, that it is actually legally binding.
Minister Neil Richmond, thank you very much indeed. That's the Minister of State Neil Richmond there, and that online Diaspora survey is underway, as he said, and will be online until November. It's 4 minutes to 11, time for a short break. Back after these.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
Looking for family fun this July? Discover Century Complex. Kids will love the soft play while teens try augmented reality darts and crazy golf. Enjoy tasty food and the latest blockbusters. Rain or shine, Century Complex is the ultimate destination for all ages. Unforgettable fun awaits. Don't miss out.
TFI Local Link operates evening and weekend services throughout rural Ireland to help you stay connected 7 days a week. We know life doesn't just happen 9 to 5, so if you're commuting, shopping, visiting family, or going out in the evenings or on the weekends, let TFI Local Link take you there. Visit transportforireland.ie.
Get the job done with the right equipment delivered direct from Watson Hire in Letterkenny. Free delivery on all equipment has been extended to the Finn Valley area, including Ballybuffet, Stranorlar, Castlefin and Killygordon. With great daily and weekend deals available, call Watson Hire, Lisnen and Letterkenny on 9167777. See Facebook or visit watsonhire.ie.
Your next new car is waiting at Manor Motors, your Opel dealer in Donegal. This 252, get a €1,000 trade-up booster on any Opel model and enjoy 2.52% finance. Choose from the bold new Corsa, stylish Astra, eye-catching Mokka, or all-new Grandland. Available in petrol, diesel, hybrid and electric. Don't miss out. Visit Manor Motors in Manor Cunningham or see manormotors.ie. Manor Motors, your trusted Opel dealer in Donegal.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenney's. Find amazing savings across our departments with up to 50% off your favourite brands in our summer sale. Discover more in-store or shop online at mcelhenneys.com today.
And weather forecast, cloudy and wet with outbreaks of rain, a few thundery downpours possible. Brighter weather with further showers extending gradually from the west over the course of the afternoon and evening. Maximum temperature 16 to 19 degrees Celsius in moderate westerly breezes. And it is St. Swithin's Day. It is July 15th, which means you can be absolutely sure it will rain at some point today. And again, just to remind you, we were asking the question, do you believe in the St. Swithin's Day tradition that the weather today is going to determine the weather for the next 40 days? And if the weather today is confused, is it going to be confused for the next 40 days? Yeah, probably.
Highland Bakery brings the magic to your morning tea break. Golden scones, still warm, soft in the middle and impossible to resist. Look for the packet with the rabbit on it. Fresh from the oven to your local shop. 25 years of Highland Bakery.
Looking for fresh dinner inspiration? Then why not take the plunge with Irish mussels? They're tasty, nutritious and easy to prepare in less than 5 minutes. Just add shallots, garlic and a splash of wine. Pick up from your local fishmonger, supermarket fish counter or in pre-cooked packs. Or if eating out, why not enjoy a delicious mussel dish? So go on, flex your muscles. See recipes at boardbia.ie/fish.
Indulge yourself with friends or a loved one at the Spa at Orchids at the Holyrood Hotel in Bundoran. A midweek or weekend spa break is the perfect way to escape from life for a while. Take a leisurely walk along the Atlantic coast. Enjoy a dip in our private pool, a plunge in our Canadian hot tub, and treatments of your choice before dining in one of the Holyrood Hotel's acclaimed restaurants. The Spa at Orchids. Book now at holyroodhotel.com.
Brian McCormick Sports. Summer sale is now on. Click on bmcsports.ie. Up to 50% off. Brooks, Asics and Hoka footwear. In-store and online. Women's Adidas clothing. Save 30% on tops, tees and matching bottoms. Adidas and Puma football boots clearing. Up to 50% off. Summer sale now at Brian McCormick Sports, Main Street, Letterkenny. Or click on bmcsports.ie for next day delivery.
Dunfanny Golf Club on the Wide Atlantic Way. Open week starts 24th of July through to Sunday the 3rd of August. 3-ball better ball, open ladies and gents stroke in Stableford. 4-ball better ball and team classics. Just some of the daily competitions you can enjoy. Hit the fairways, enjoy the crack and be part of the Festival of Golf. To book, call 074 9136335 or visit dunfannygolfclub.com.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
This is the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio. We are into the third and final hour of the programme. Lots to come, including some music as we reflect on the progress of the Ergal Arts Festival, which is underway, of course, right across the county. But before any of that, it's time for a news update, and we say good morning to Katie Gillen.
Thanks, Donal. Good morning. Garda are appealing for witnesses to a single vehicle collision that occurred on the N56 on Sunday afternoon. A motorcycle crashed at Derry Fad between Creasa and Turman shortly after 4:15. The motorcyclist sustained serious injuries that are not believed to be life-threatening. Anyone who witnessed the collision or anyone who travelled along that route with a dashcam between 4 and half 4 is asked to contact Ballyshannon Garda Station. Investigations have been launched following a two-vehicle collision on the R231 at Creevy on Saturday afternoon. One of the vehicles was travelling in the direction of Rossnowla and the other was travelling in the opposite direction when the collision occurred. One driver sustained serious but non-life-threatening injuries and the other sustained non-life-threatening injuries. If anyone observed the collision or was travelling in the area between 12:30 and 12:45 and has dashcam footage, is asked to contact Garda in Ballyshannon. Garda are appealing for witnesses in relation to an alleged assault that occurred in Letterkenny yesterday morning. A man was assaulted outside a takeaway in Lower Main Street between approximately 3:10 and 3:15. He was taken to Letterkenny University Hospital with injuries that are not believed to be life-threatening. Anyone with information is being asked to contact Letterkenny Garda Station or the Garda Confidential line. Meanwhile, Garda are also appealing for witnesses in connection with an alleged assault in Buncrana yesterday between 12:20 and 12:40 in the morning. Garda received a report that a woman had been assaulted in Angrenham Park. Garda believe that someone in the area intervened in the incident by shouting, and they are now asking that person to contact Garda in Buncrana. A man has been arrested in connection with the incident. Concerns have been raised over the threat drones pose to people's privacy, as after a woman said she was left feeling unsafe after a drone hovered above her house in Maharorty on Friday and fears photos of her and her children may have been taken. Speaking to Donal Kavanagh on this morning's 9 till noon show, Marjorie says the incident made her feel uncomfortable. She says laws need to be implemented to safeguard people in their own homes. And finally, the Taoiseach says the 30% tariffs is sobering threat from the US. Cabinet has been given an update today on the latest negotiations between the EU and America and the potential worst case scenarios for Ireland if a deal isn't done. Among the threats is a possible acceleration of job losses across a number of sectors. That's all from the newsroom for now. We'll be back with another update at 12 o'clock.
Summer's here! Yay! So it's time to stock up on sun protection at Aldi. There's something for everyone, like Lacora SPF 50 Plus Kids Roll-On at only $3.49. SPF 30 Dry Mist Spray for $3.99. And After Sun with Soothing Aloe Vera at just $2.49. All water resistant and dermatologically tested. So spread the word. And the sun cream while stocks last.
And welcome back to the third hour of the 9 till noon show this morning. And things are getting nice and bustling in the room this morning because we have got some guests coming in from Donegal Youth Service, because Party in the Park takes place later on this week, and it's all part, of course, of the Errigal Arts Festival, which is in full swing. And yeah, we'll press that one. I think that's going to do everything. I've had several times over the years, I've had the privilege of taking part in Party in the Park by being an MC. And in fact, actually, only last night, a friend of mine posted a picture in a group I'm involved in of me in a stock in the car park of what used to be the Grill. It's now just a derelict site. And Billy Banda is there throwing sponges at me. A man with a devastating, I'll tell you something, Billy Banda has got some bloody A with a sponge. I confirm that. If you're watching, you'll see the faces already. Delighted to say that I'm joined in studio by Frankie McGreevy, who's a manager at Donegal Youth Service. Frankie, how's it going?
Very good, Donal, very good. Delighted to be here.
Yeah, and as I said, I have some experience of parties in the park over the years. In fact, I suspect we were doing parties in the park before our two other guests were even born.
I would say you're 100% right there, Donal, most definitely.
We were doing it back in the 90s with yourself and John Muldowney on sound and that. We had great crack over the years.
We're in our 20th year. We're 19 of them, but one of them was sort of fallow year because of COVID.
I would have done a fair few of the early ones, I think.
You did indeed. I think you did the first one.
Yeah, I believe so, yeah. And I'm suspecting our two guests are well under 20. So yeah, yes, indeed. Yeah, Frankie and I were doing parties in the park before you were born.
There you go.
There's a sobering thought. We're joined in studio by James Curran and by John Sheridan, both of whom are performing. And John, I believe you're going to give us a bit of a turn.
Maybe.
No, there's
if
no
you're
maybe.
Go on, John.
Do you see that? See that piece of paper I have in my hand? If the piece of paper I have in my hand says that James is performing, James is performing because Donna Marie said so. Donna Marie's in charge, and if Donna Marie said it, it has to happen. Because she's the producer, and what the producer says goes.
Well, I've pulled the guitar along with me. So.
Just in case. Excellent. We're going to get along to that in just a moment. But Frankie, the Party in the Park, it's the same race on Datra as it had 20 years ago, and that is to take some of the huge local talent we have in this area and give them a stage.
Absolutely. Give them a showcase, you know. It's also about this year about bringing bands from all over. We've got bands from Newry. We've got a band from Dublin this year, MNDK. So there's a cross-border peace-building element to it that's arrived, which is slightly different than when it first started. So it has grown, and it has, as you say, become part of the Errigal Arts Festival too. So it's expected now. So it's when you're in your 20th year, it has its own momentum.
Yeah.
You know, so it's magic. The young people are looking forward to it, and there's a real transferable skill there if you've got the courage to get up on stage. If you have that, and we give young people an opportunity, and James here will be testament to that, and John and many others. So there's certainly there's a musical showcase, but then there's also those transferable skills that are the courage to get up on stage. Will mean if you've got the courage to get up on stage, you've got the courage to go into a job interview. You know, so it's definitely youth work.
I'm sure we're getting to the point too where some of those who performed in those first parties in the park in the 20s are 20 years ago, they're well into their adult years. They're probably in the process of having children themselves. Well, it'll not be too long before we have a situation where those taking part in Party in the Park are the children of those who previously took part in parties in the park.
We think about sort of generational heroes. Alanis Morissette, Jagged Little Pill. Eve Bell performed the Party in the Park, and she supported
as part
Alanis
of the
Morissette. As part of that, you were down there, so that was magic. Gabriel Blake, of course, who's with the Murder Capital, and that's James's cousin.
Right, I didn't realise that. Yes.
And he was a huge part too. And there's others. I don't want to start naming them all, but there's in case I leave people out, but there's bands that have got they're young people and individuals who've went on to have careers in music, or even if are still playing, maybe doing something else, but still playing. Karen Kelly, Simon McCafferty, Declan McClafferty, all people like that all had performances at Party in the Park. You know, so it's magic, and they cite it as their first ever proper experience. And that's the thing, we always put on a fantastic stage, and that's part of it. It's the wow factor. The young people come along and they look and they go, right, It's not just any old average stage. It's a stage that can command the park of that size, you know.
And the wonderful thing is too, irrespective of who you are, what age you are, where you've come from, what you're doing, everyone is given the same respect. It isn't like there is a star and then there is a host of supporters. It is, there are a group of performers, and whether you're on first, you're in the middle, or you're last, it doesn't matter. Everyone on that stage is equal.
Exactly. Everyone gets the same opportunity, you know, and there's a real camaraderie, and everybody stays to support each other, you know. We also, I mean, I don't want to just, with 25 acts this year.
25?
25.
I mean, okay, it used to be about 9 or 10.
That was built every year. My record, whenever I was directly running it, was 18. But I have to give a big shout out. Eve King over there, she's not one for the radio, but she's looking in there smiling. She's been taking over the main point of contact for organising it, and it's grown from strength to strength in the last 4 or 5 years because of that. But also we've got Laura Byrne, another she's a youth worker with Elevate 55, and she's got a real passion for music. And they've beat my record of 25 acts.
Well, fair play.
Can't believe it. It's wonderful. So punk, country, acoustic, Afro beats, pop, and there's a dance group, synchronized performance to pop and Afro beats. And as I say, bands travel from all over Donegal and Armagh, Dublin, and Newry.
Brilliant.
The Odysseys are headlining it. We do have a kind of a headline thing happening. We had the Fades headlining there last year. The Fades are a fantastic band.
The Fades are great friends of this program, actually. I know Greg has a huge grow for the Fades.
Yeah.
They've been in the studio several times.
We brought them up first.
Yeah, I remember that.
Similar to this.
Indeed, I remember that.
They were great because I talked to them, and they weren't going to play because they were going down to see Oasis. A tribute act of Oasis at the time. No, it wasn't even Oasis, sorry. It was Liam Gallagher who was performing on his own. And I said, what kind of a band are you? You've got a chance to play the Party in the Park, and you're going down to watch Liam Gallagher. And so I said, well, sure, we'll put you on first, and then you'll get to play, and then you go down to Belfast. So they came on first, but then we heard them. So they were on, they closed it the next year, you know. They're fantastic. But this year, the Odysseys, John's younger brother.
Oh, right.
The Odysseys, you know that band too, knocking around? No?
I've heard. I can't say I've seen them, but I have heard of them. Yeah.
Class.
I think they were on with Paul and Jimmy.
Oh, hey, and anyone who's anyone in music these days has been on.
Jimmy is on stage.
Everybody's been on Paul and Jimmy.
And if you haven't already, you very soon will be. And I have no doubt that Paul and Jimmy, I mean, and that's one of the great things about Paul and Jimmy is they keep an eye on what's happening.
Yes.
At things like Party in the Park, and they're always, I mean, their fingers are on the pulse. And if I ever have a question about local music now, the first people I go to are Paul and Jimmy to ask the question.
Yes, they'll know. Yeah.
And the spirit they have on their programme is the same as the spirit in Party in the Park. What's your genre? Doesn't matter. What's your skill level? Doesn't really matter. Do you have passion for music? Yep, you're in.
You're in. Yes, exactly.
And
that's what it takes. If you've got the courage to get up there on that stage as well, it's a huge part of it, you know. And as saying, there's people going up performing solo, but there's also bands and that, you know.
Yeah.
The Odysseys have a new song out called Beginnings. You could check that out. They just wrote it there as part of a youth project with us, and then they've went on next door to Full Tilt there, and Tommy Conway recorded their song called The Beginnings, and they've a great video out as well, you can see. But they'll be closing the show. John's younger brother, and John will be performing as well.
Right, and speaking of John performing, I think I may have erroneously said James was going to do
it.
You
did.
And freaked the head off him for a moment.
Started panicking there.
No, it was. Here's the problem with all these people with names beginning with J. Okay, John, you're going to perform, so tell us about the song.
Well, it's a song I wrote about 2 years ago, roughly, and then I performed it for the Irish Youth Music Awards down in Dublin, and to say a bag of nerves was an understatement for it. But I'm going to perform it for everybody out there and hope that they like it.
Okey-doke.
You've been sitting up all night in that front porch swing. It's been run through your head, wondering where I've been. I've been running through the fields trying to find a way to make this hit. But I think it's time I go ahead and make that deal. I'm in the cigarette sunrise up on the hillside, trying to find my way back home. Out in the nighttime, I kept on driving. Now I don't want to be alone. can call me all night, but I won't answer the phone. 'Cause I just need time to be my own. Your voicemails keep telling me, please come on home. 'Cause you hate the thought of me being out of my own. You've been calling me all night, now I'm coming home. I'm in that cigarette sunrise, up on the hillside, trying to find my way back home. Out in the nighttime, I kept on driving, now I don't wanna be alone.
Oh, that was superb. Love that, John. Well done. That was John Sheridan with his own original song, Cigarette Sunrise. And John, not at all jealous that his little brother is going to be headlining the whole shebang, but he won't. Not at all jealous. Not in the least. John, I mean that is a great song. Really love that.
You.
How important is it to you that you get this showcase, that you can actually stand up in front of your friends, in front of your family, in front of others, and actually perform?
It's like, it is great to just be able to get up and perform, especially original songs. Like I find it, like, it took a long time to write that song.
Yeah.
And like it does mean a lot to me deep down. But it's just great being able to get up on a stage and kind of show people what I'm made of, I suppose.
Yeah.
That's the way of saying it.
and James, from your own point of view, I mean, you know, I'm sure being able to do this, I mean, I know being able to do this, when you can actually stand up and make music in public and make some noise and get some attention, it does a huge amount for your own self-confidence as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, because, you know, sometimes it can be very, like, nerve-wracking to get up in front of all them people, you know, and it's just, like, a great experience to, like, get used to being on a stage nearly, you know, to be in front of all those people and kind of get used to, like, you know, that nearly social anxiety sort of aspect to it, where just like, all right, I can like leave all that behind for a minute. I can just be on the stage right now. That's kind of my point of view from it.
Yeah, and from the point of view of the Donegal Youth Service, I mean, as I said, I've worked with you, Frankie, over the years at various parties in the park. But I mean, you know, what's been happening traditionally in the loft over you know, the old cinema there, that building there. I mean, so much great work's been done in the loft for decades now at this point. And as well, you've got what's happening down at the old Devlin Hall and the base down there. That there is so much happening within Donegal Youth Service. There is so much provision in the county and so much coming from it.
Yes. Right across the board, Donal, you know, we're up to, whenever I started, we had 4 members of staff, and we're at 44 now. So it's a big, you know, over 20 years. It's exponential, and all of those, you know, workers are and in partnership with young people are responsible for so much work. I couldn't name it all. I want to mention Youthscape though. It's a peace project. Also, Our Generation. The Our Generation project is the main project behind it that I'm directly managing. It's peace funded. It's got 10 partners right across. Actually, mental health, the lead partner. So it's a mental health resilience program, really, and as James alluded to there, it's not that you get less frightened going on stage, it's that you get braver.
Yeah.
And you start to realise that you've got, as you said, John, I love that, you know, a wee bit about yourself, show what you have to offer, you know, and that's gold dust. That's gold dust, you know, from a youth work perspective. But the Youthscape project's another peace funded project, and they're going to be doing they're doing a fundraiser on the day, so I'm going to give them a mention. They're going to be doing they're a bake sale, and so that's to help their project, and there's going to be, you know, a special showcase for the work that they're doing on the day, and there'll be art on display in that from the participants. But yeah, it's a celebration day for all the work that we're doing within DYS, but it's also obviously open completely to the public. It's a family day.
Oh yeah,
and it's always been well attended and well supported. And we're hoping that Friday will be no different. So Friday the 18th at 12 o'clock, 12 to 6.
Yep.
So it's a daytime family crack, fun, so I'd encourage anybody out there to come down and get involved. There'll be loads of food, and there'll be arts and crafts and fun activities for all ages.
Face painting and stuff like that there for all the kids and things.
Yeah, I will be working an early shift, but I will make it down for a couple of hours.
Oh, brilliant.
I will be there. Well, I'll make it down for a couple of hours.
You're a guest of honour.
You can come down and get your face painted for us.
John will do it for you.
I have had much worse happen to me at parties in the park over the years. That isn't a threat, by the way, guys. It's not a threat. I believe in whatever was happening to me.
I remember that sponge then.
Oh, I tell you, he was vicious. He was vicious.
I'd love to hear the backstory on that.
Oh, that'd be a good story.
The story was quite simple.
We'll have to recreate it.
I was down to hear some music, and Billy shouted, "Donal, come here." I said, "What, Billy?" He said, "Stick your head into that." I stuck my head into it, and he threw sponges of water at me. That's basically the story.
Oh, well.
And he's particularly good at it.
I can absolutely. And is it a pure coincidence that picture was actually put up by a good friend of mine on a group that we
must have been
last
practicing.
night.
Must have been in the back garden.
I need to mention, Donal, sorry, as a good friend of Paul Mooney. We lost Paul Mooney a couple of years now, and one of our stages now, the main stage is called the Paul Mooney stage, and we've kind of dedicated the main stage to him, because Paul would have, like yourselves at your age, he'd be getting involved in music, and then he went away to college to study music, and he came back and he was volunteering and recording young people, and very much involved with DYS. So we dedicated that to him, and his very close friend Taylor Southern is coming over from Manchester to perform.
Lovely.
In Paul's memory on Friday as well. So I want to give her a mention.
Oh, yeah, I would have known Paul. Obviously, I have a daughter who would have been the same age as Paul, and they would have done the loft together. They would have known each other. I mean, I remember Paul back when he was sort of 15, 16. You know,
big Cheshire grin, smile.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. No, I was very fond of Paul. As it happens, I was actually the responsible adult that brought him to My Chemical Romance gig at the RDS in the Simmons Court years ago, when he would have been too young to get in.
The definition of responsible adult is getting stretched here.
That was it. You know, I'll be honest with you. I mean, I was with him. We got in the door. I never saw him again. But yeah,
that's the main thing.
Oh no, his dad had just dropped him off there and said, "Look, will you just make sure everything's out there? You're grand."
Yeah, Morgan.
He was a good guy, Paul. He was a very good guy. He was devastated when that happened.
Absolutely. Morgan and Gwen will be there too.
Yeah,
on the Friday.
I was very fond of Paul. No, it's great to see that the stage is named after him. And again, Paul, just typical of that person who was in the loft from the time he was in his early teens and just developed over the course. The loft is still going, isn't it?
It's still going. It's called
Happy Days.
We
called something else now.
We renamed it Elevate 55, but it's Elevate 55 powered by the loft. So it's like the drop-in centre itself.
Elevate 55 powered by the loft. Oh yeah, we have to come up with a really modern name.
I know.
Guys.
It's because
the loft won't cut it anymore.
It's the way our funding changed. We had to expand outside of Letterkenny.
Yeah.
So 55 is the longitudinal, or latitude, is it? Longitude or latitude?
That's clever.
Line in northern Donegal that we go up to. So it involves Milford, Rathmullen, and on up in the north central Children and Family Support Network area. So it's just a funding thing, and we had to think about it. So because we're not just in Letterkenny, so the loft was so much associated with Letterkenny, we wanted to broaden it out. So and that's why we've bands coming from Milford and Falcarron all to the Party in the Park.
Of course.
But all year we'll do work in those areas too, in those towns, so that the funding gets spread out across the county is the idea.
Brilliant. Can't wait. Really looking forward to it. Nothing is better than listening to good music, and if there's original music there too, hey, that's even better. So I shall no doubt see you at some point down in the Birmingham Town Park. Just final question, because in recent years it's become now almost part of the Errigal Arts Festival. How important has that sort of team up been between yourself and Paul Brown and the crew?
It's wonderful. Do you know, we had at one maybe 10 years ago we were involved with the Errigal Arts, and that kind of fell away. But Paul came back to us there. Fadil Mustafa was working with us for a while, and he was part of the steering committee there. And there's sort of a rapprochement. We got back and we sort of talked about it, and we thought, you know what, we really, we've been going for so long that we're consistent and steadfast, and to have that extra kudos that the Errigal Arts Festival gives us, it embeds the Party in the Park more. It gives it a foundation, and also,
do you know? Hang on a second now. It's not just them giving you a status; you're giving them status as well.
Absolutely, it works.
I mean, it does work both ways. Because I'm sure from their point of view, to have something of the stature of the Party in the Park and that buy-in and that involvement of of younger
community.
people. That's giving them status, and that's giving them something special too. So hey, it ain't a one-way street.
Exactly, it's the best kind of deal, a deal where both parties go away going, we're getting something really valuable out of it. There's no doubt about it. And they're helping with some funding towards the big stage that we have. And I always maintain that the one thing we definitely make sure we have is a stage that can command that park, because that's what sets us apart.
Okay, well, I want to give the final words to those who are going to be on that stage. James, you're looking forward to Friday, obviously.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to Friday. It's actually going to be my last gig with my band Stainless Steel. We're disbanding, just growing up, focusing on school a bit more. So we've decided to disband, and we've kind of decided to go Party in the Park, our last gig, because that was our first gig.
Right.
So it's just kind of like a full circle kind of moment to finish on that. So I'm really looking forward to it. And
So this is the last gig until the reunion when you all finish college.
Yeah.
In a year's time,
till after the leaving cert. Yeah.
Stainless Steel, the return.
Be like Oasis, just.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Funny, I was sitting there trying to think what was the name of Liam Gallagher's band. BDI.
BDI, there you go.
BDI, that's what they were called. That just hit me there a moment ago. And finally, John, the final word to yourselves. I mean, you performed for us, so people know what to expect. But hey, it's something to look forward to. Get your own songs out there.
It's definitely something to look forward to, especially for musicians out there that are looking for a chance to get their new music out, that are just looking to see how people would react to it. So I'm very excited to be performing there, and to have my original song to perform for. The second time out live, I think it is.
Right, and we look forward to hearing it again live on Highland Radio when you're in with Paul and Jimmy before too long.
Well, might be back in sometime.
Oh, hey, you can be sure of it, and you can be sure those two, they'll have their fingers on the pulse. They'll be looking Friday as they always are, and there's no flies on them. John, James, Frankie, thank you all very much indeed for
being here.
Great.
Thank you,
Donal.
Donal.
Take care.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio.
The 9 till Noon Show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today. Buy any new Renault passenger vehicle from Highland Motors in Letterkenny before the 19th of this month and get a €500 Shop LK voucher on top of Renault's already great offers. This is for a limited time only, so don't miss out at Highland Motors, Mountain Top, Letterkenny. See highlandmotors.com.
This summer, whatever adventures you're planning, you can make them cleaner and greener with Certa HVO fuel. Right now, Certa is price matching HVO to diesel, so making the move to cleaner motoring is easy. Plus, every time you fill up with HVO at a Certa forecourt or depot, you could win great weekly prizes. And you may also be in with a chance to win a luxury family break at Foda Island Resort. So fuel up for cleaner, greener summer adventures with Certa HVO. For details and T's and C's, visit certaireland.ie/summer.
At Fleming's, we take great pride in having provided quality steel and roofing to all our customers throughout Ireland since 1860.
Tell them about the doors, John.
Okay, Mike. We also provide a full quality range of
doors, industrial doors, garage doors, roller doors, insulated doors.
Thanks for that, Mike.
No dramas, mate.
Fleming's, engineering solutions for 150 years. Call us now on 074 91 48 234.
From Thursday the 17th until Sunday the 20th of July, all roads lead to Monaghan Town for the return of the highly anticipated 4-night open-air country music festival featuring Ireland's top acts, the Tumblin' Paddies on Thursday, Jimmy Buckley on Friday, Mike Denver on Saturday, and Michael English on Sunday, with some of the best support acts, plus the jiving competition. Tickets are available from the West Iron Arms Hotel in Monaghan. For more information, check out Monaghan Country Music Festival website or our Facebook page.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is
29 minutes past 11 o'clock.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com. The 9 till Noon Show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
Monster Bingo every Tuesday night at Mulroy Woods Hotel. €3,300 must go with €1,000 on the last page. Doors open 7:30. Bingo starts at 8:30. That's Monster Bingo this and every Tuesday night at Mulroy Woods Hotel, Milford.
What might sound like chaos to us is a moment of pure serenity for Lisa. Because the kids are back for seconds, the picky eaters are happy, and her barbecue is going down a treat. From barbecue bundles to everyday savings, summer is served at Dunnes Stores with online delivery, click and collect, and same-day delivery with Buy Me. Dunnes Stores, always better value. Terms and conditions apply.
Donegal's premier summer celebration, Donegal Arts Festival, brings you fantastic events for all ages and backgrounds this July 12th to 26th. Enjoy award-winning music, theatre, circus, visual and street arts from the offshore islands and West Donegal Gaeltacht to the lowlands of East Donegal and the shores of the Inishowen Peninsula. Visit eaf.ie. For full details on Donegal Arts Festival, proudly supported by Donegal County Council.
In the lead up to the All-Ireland final, join us for Highland Radio's Road to Croker, supporting the Donegal GAA Team Training Fund and the Northwest Special Olympics. We kick off final week with a special big match countdown event at the Clannery Hotel Letterkenny on Monday the 21st at 8 p.m. Oisín Kelly and Brendan Devaney will look ahead to the game with an expert panel of guests. We will also have live entertainment and an exclusive Michael Murphy Sports Donegal goodie bag up for grabs. Tickets priced €20 and are available now on highlandradio.com. Highland Radio's Road to Croker in association with Highland Motors Letterkenny and the all-new Dacia Duster from just €199 per month. Refreshed looks, sophisticated yet practical and tough. Now also available in hybrid.
This is the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio into the final half hour of the programme. Just want to do a few comments before we go to our next guest. We spoke earlier to John about the concerns he has regarding the rubbish generated by camper vans and by campers. Caller says John is 100% correct. You're going to have people ringing in now complaining about what he said, but he is correct. There should be CCTV cameras mounted and those creating litter should be prosecuted. Pray that it doesn't rain today, as it's St. Swithin's Day. If it rains today, it rains for 40 days. We didn't reference that earlier on, actually. And it looks like, quite possibly it is going to rain today, and we'll see what happens. You're 100% correct. There is no respect. No matter how much we talk about people being rude by not abiding by rules, we just anger ourselves. They don't give a toss, so says a caller. I was talking earlier about ring doorbells, and I put forward the suggestion that we're getting to the point where not only can you connect into your ring doorbell on the phone, but you should soon be able to talk to people actually through your phone at the doorbell. And caller has, as I then suggested, maybe you can do that already. Yeah, you can. Caller says, yeah, I have a ring doorbell. If someone presses it, I can see them and answer them on my phone. Wow. Now, we spoke earlier about the traffic around Letterkenny and out toward Ramelton in particular. Caller says, hi, while I agree that the 12th bank holiday traffic is contributory to the traffic congestion on the Ramelton Road, it's no different from the end of all other NI bank holidays. Today we'll see a repeat of yesterday from around noon until after 6. Waiting on a 10T road solution for the bridge is unacceptable, as it could take over 10 years if ever to happen. The link is needed now. And absolutely, I mean, the 10T project and the delivery of the Bonnigy link, that second bridge over the Swilly, is certainly necessary, because what you need to do is take as much of the traffic as possible away from Letterkenny, take as much of the traffic as possible away from the Polestar roundabout and the Dry Arch roundabout. Now, I know the plan as it stands at the moment is that you will develop the road across this new bridge down past Arena 7, past where Kinniger Brewery is. You build the bridge and then you continue that and you join up with the dual carriageway, as I understand it. Now, I know Councillor Liam Blaney has suggested in the past that really and truly the actual bridge should be should be out closer to Ramelton, and they should do the link there so that you're taking as much traffic as possible away from Letterkenny and its environs. Now, that might involve a longer new road and a longer bridge, so it might involve more money and so on and so forth, but there is certainly a discussion to be had about where you locate that bridge and how quickly you can get that bridge built, because it is necessary. We were talking about St. Swithin's Day, and the weather caller says there's heavy rain, thunder showers since yesterday, and evening flooding in the waterfall Ardra area. That's what someone has said to us there, so no surprise. Yeah, it's raining in the old town in Letterkenny. Now, I'm looking at the window here at the mountaintop. I don't see any rain at the moment, but yeah, it wouldn't surprise me, and we will get some rain. Good morning, listening to Highland Radio. They said they see no rain as of yet. Yeah, I say I see no rain. I have seen no rain here in Letterkenny where I am, but it's raining, it's pouring in Carndonagh, and now I'm told it's raining in the old town of Letterkenny. So I didn't see the rain earlier, but I did suggest we will see it before the end of the day. So yeah. As I said, the weather is confusing. Now, I want to change tack completely and go to a serious subject, because the Department of Health has published figures which show there were 10,852 abortions in Ireland last year. That was the highest number since the law changed in 2019. In Donegal, there was a specific 124% increase from 127 abortions in 2019 to 285 in 2024 last year. We're joined on the line by Eilish Mulroy, who is the CEO of the Pro-Life campaign. Eilish, good morning.
Thanks for having me on the programme, Donal.
The figures that we're getting from the Department of Health, does that in a sense vindicate the warning that the Pro-Life campaign always gave, that we would start by offering abortions in very, very specific and limited circumstances, but it would, over the course of time, proliferate?
For sure. I think when the referendum campaign was launched back in early 2018, the then Taoiseach Leo Varadkar assured voters that, if they voted yes, the referendum would result in abortions being safe, legal and rare, was the term he used. They're certainly not rare based on the latest figures that we got from the Department of Health. These figures are issued once a year. The Minister has to publish in accordance with the statutory obligations laid out in the legislation. He has to, the Minister for Health has to publish the figures for the previous full year. So in 2024, a figure of 10,852 abortions, as you say, the highest on record, is really a truly shocking figure. And, you don't have to go into the argument about repeal of the Eighth Amendment or whether you're pro-choice or pro-life. The reality is that most people would consider these figures much higher than would have been anticipated, no matter what way that they voted back in 2018. In Donegal alone, 285 abortions in 2024, as you say, an increase of 124% since 2019. That's a shocking figure. And overall, nationally, 1 in 6 babies' lives are now ended in abortion. I think it's important, Donal, that, we're talking about figures, we talk about stats and percentages, but we're talking about human lives here. We're talking about children missing from classrooms. I was delighted to see Donegal's going to Croke Park. I'm half Donegal myself. I was thrilled to see Donegal make it through to the All-Ireland. But how many of these figures that we're talking about, these babies' lives, how many of these children could have been players for their club or for their county in football? So I think it's really important that we're, as you say, it's a very serious subject. We are actually talking about the ending of human life. And the other thing as well, we've many women involved in the pro-life campaign and in the wider pro-life movement who've been through abortion, and that abortion has had a very negative impact on their lives. So I think it's really important to remember those women as well. And the government really has a massive responsibility to do more for women who've been through abortion, who regret that decision, who need support. But also, very particularly, the government needs to do more to deal with these huge figures by making sure that women who are in unplanned or challenging pregnancies have all the supports they need. And the problem at the moment, Donal, is that when a woman contacts the state-funded My Options helpline, it really seems to be very a one-way system towards abortion. They're not getting all of the information they deserve and they need on financial supports, community supports, social welfare supports. So that's why we've been running, the Pro-Life campaign has been running a campaign talking to our public representatives called Positive Pathways, which is trying to encourage public representatives to do more, to get the government to do more, to ensure women have all of that information they need so that they can proceed with their pregnancies. It's really
you're seeking an urgent meeting with Minister Jennifer Carroll McNeill, the Health Minister. What do you want on the table at that meeting? Ultimately, what do you want the Health Minister to do to make the situation less unjust and unsustainable as you believe it to be at the moment?
Well, Minister Carroll McNeill is the Minister for Health since the beginning of this government. So it was her predecessors that kind of pushed to bring in abortion and have been pushing abortion since 2019. So we're really hopeful that when we get to meet her, and we've met many TDs and senators over recent months about this topic, and many Donegal supporters have also contacted their TDs and their public representatives in Donegal. But we would hope that the Minister would give us the time to talk through our perspective on this, and to also really open the door for people with a pro-life perspective and open the door to people who have a record in helping women in unplanned pregnancy choose positive options and choose life, and to bring those people to the decision-making table. At the moment, the government has really ceded all of the control and the decision-making power to kind of the most vocal proponents of abortion, leaving no space at that table for other perspectives. And I think that really is something that we're hoping that the Minister for Health will be able to address. And we repeated the request. We requested a meeting a number of weeks ago about these figures. We knew these figures were going to be huge. We repeated that request, and we're hopeful that the Minister will meet us. One thing is clear: the current situation is unsustainable and is doing a massive disservice to women and can't be allowed to continue. We really have to do better for women and unborn children.
What changes do you want to see to the law?
Well, right now, I would like to see. Efforts made by government to reduce the abortion numbers. I would like to see better publication of the data. One of the things about this information, the information that we've gotten, is we don't really have enough information for good public policy, decisions to be made. One of the shocking things about this release of the figures was that it was made late on a Friday evening. There was no press release even issued. So a really kind of a tactic to shield the public scrutiny that these figures deserve. So I'd like to see more transparency and more accountability from the government, as well as genuine efforts to give women better choices and positive options when they're facing unplanned pregnancy.
I want to put 2 points to you, 2 comments that we've just received. One caller says, we voted for this. This is what we want. And there was a referendum. So this wasn't just a law that was imposed by a health minister. This was a law that followed a referendum. So people had a vote. So a caller says, this is what we want. Another caller is saying, we can't take a step backwards. And that's one of the issues that you as a pro-life campaigner are going to be faced with. That people are saying, this is the legal situation. It follows a referendum. We've been down this road. And this is ultimately the choice that has been made by the people and implemented by government.
Look, fair enough. The people voted by referendum to remove the 8th Amendment. They voted to give power to the Oireachtas to make legislation. I think if you ask yes voters, ask some people in Donegal on your programme, when they voted yes, many people voted yes for abortion for particular situations that they felt had to be addressed. For example, if women's health or life was in peril. As we know, women were always given all necessary treatment even prior to the 8th Amendment. But I know for sure, because I know people who voted in favour of repealing the 8th Amendment for those reasons. They didn't vote for massive amount of abortions of healthy babies and healthy mothers. And that's what we have seen. So I think that it's fair to say, absolutely, the people voted and they repealed the 8th Amendment. That's what they voted for. But I don't think it's fair to say that the people who voted yes wanted to see an abortion regime that is this extreme. You remember, Donal, before the referendum, when we were saying that 1 in 5 babies' lives ended in abortion in Britain, that was fact-checked, so-called. It was ridiculed that would never happen here. We've nearly caught up. We've 1 in 6 babies' lives ending in abortion now. So this is a very extreme regime that we have. And I think people, whether they voted yes or no, and I know many people, including members of the Oireachtas, by the way, who would have campaigned and voted, would encourage people to vote yes, who now think it's all gone too far. So the key issue is, and I welcome the opportunity to talk to you about it today, we have to be able to talk about it. The problem is if we don't talk about it, the people are kept in the dark about what's actually happening. And that's how you create better policy, and by talking about it and then making changes.
One of the problems is, and understandable to a certain extent, that this is by very definition a very divisive debate, that ultimately there are 2 very clear sides. There are people who are anti-abortion, there are people who are pro-choice. And very often what happens is the voices that get heard are the voices, I don't want to say on the extreme of both sides, but you hear the voices of those who are passionate about their commitment, shall we say, to both sides. So we have, on one hand, a perspective that's saying, you are killing babies. On the other hand, you have a perspective of saying, for instance, we have a comment here, why can't we see this as thousands of women saved from dire situations? So it's one of those areas where it's going to be very difficult to have a discussion that doesn't find people passionately coming down on one side or the other.
I agree with you. It's a very, very tough issue. I found that. I've been involved in it for many years. I do think it's important that we talk about tough issues and we don't stop talking about them because they're tough. I think it's important that we grapple with them. It's certainly important that our public representatives and our politicians grapple with them and don't shy away with them. But on that point, I also think that there's a lot of common ground. Like there's a lot of areas where we all agree. We all agree women shouldn't feel that they have to have an abortion through economic necessity. I've heard that has been happening in Ireland. We all agree that no woman should be coerced into having an abortion or to taking abortion pills, which we know has happened, as reported in the Irish Examiner. That has happened in Ireland. So, there's a lot of common ground. We all agree women should be given time to make a decision before going for having an abortion. It's such a life-changing decision. Like there's many areas where we can find agreement and common ground. So while it's always going to be a tough debate, because obviously you're talking about the ending of human life, Donal, people are going to get passionate about it. I think there's a lot of areas where we can find consensus and common ground, and we need to work on those. And I don't agree that it has to be, ferocious and attacking and kind of you against me. There's lots of areas where we can work together. When I say you against me, I mean the pro-life side and those who are advocating for more abortion. I think that's doing it and speaking and debating it in a mature way, but also recognizing that you're actually talking about human lives. You're talking about children who are missing from classrooms because they were never born. And I think you can never shy away from talking about that. So I understand how difficult it is to talk about, having been talking about it in the media sometimes, and with my own community, friends, family. It's a tough thing to talk about, but we cannot shy away from talking about tough things. And I really believe that women deserve better than that. As well as unborn babies, the women in Ireland, many women are being done a huge disservice. I only recently spoke to a woman from the Northwest who had been through abortion, forced upon her, not physically forced, but coerced, who regretted it so much and wants to speak out. I mean, those voices are out there, and obviously women like that, they need to be looked after and make sure that they have all the support they need. So I wouldn't wouldn't at all encourage somebody like that to speak out in the media right now. But my point is that those voices are there too, and we're not hearing anything about that point of view, and that's not healthy for democracy, and it's certainly not good for politics to be shying away from talking about it, and the media, with exceptions obviously. And thank you for addressing the issue today, because I know it's a tough issue, but the media and the political class have a responsibility to make sure that this issue is discussed, so that changes and positive changes can come about.
Finally and briefly, I want to ask you, you referenced there areas of potential coercion. There was a story that broke earlier this year in Georgia. Adriana Smith, a 31-year-old nurse and mother, was 8 weeks pregnant when she was declared brain dead after suffering a medical condition. However, her family claimed the hospital told them legally she had to be kept on life support to allow the fetus to grow. The family claims doctors told them they weren't legally allowed to consider other options. And then Smith's baby was born by emergency caesarean section, weighing under 2 pounds and needing care in the neonatal intensive care unit. Now, caller is asking, what do you make of that case in where a woman who was brain dead was forced to remain on life support because she was pregnant, and then when she gave birth, the baby was less than 2 pounds and in dire need of intensive neonatal care?
Well, that's a really tough situation. I'm not massively familiar with that particular case, and I think there's probably laws, and I don't know what the law and what the situation was with the hospital, or there was probably court activity around that case. That's a really tough scenario. I think you're going to find that those kind of things happen from time to time, but that we're not talking about that here. Most of the abortions that happened in Ireland last year were under the section of the Act which is under 12-week abortions, for which a woman who is looking for the abortion, or if somebody else is, part of the decision to coercing her into the abortion, which we know is happening, doesn't have to give any reason. So you are always going to have those tough scenarios, Donal, that's for sure. But and I know that's what would have maybe encouraged or would have been the thinking of some people when they voted to repeal the 8th Amendment. But we're not talking about that here. We're talking about massive abortion numbers, 1 in 6 babies, and many of those abortions not for any of those tough reasons that one might speak about. So I think that, like you can always, there are always those kind of tough scenarios. That's across all areas of life. And, at the end of life, there's really tough scenarios too. On the euthanasia question, where you'd have really tough situations like that, and there's court applications. Can't comment on any particular one. What I'm saying is that's not what the 99.9% of the abortions that are happening are not under those situations. We don't even know how many of the abortions that are happening are repeat abortions. We know in Britain we get those kind of figures, and we'd like to see more information on that and better data from the Department of Health, and that's one of the issues that we'll be raising with the Minister for Health when we meet her, if we meet her, when we hope we will.
Eilish Mulroy, CEO of the Pro-Life Movement, thank you very much indeed. Just two comments that have come in. One caller is saying one of the 10 commandments is thou shalt not kill, but we have a government which supports the killing of babies. Another comment, I am a woman, I voted yes. Healthy doesn't also always mean you're in a position to have a baby, and those sort of opposing views are going to be shared by people. Eilish Mulroy, for the moment, thank you very much indeed. We will be keeping a very close eye on this, and obviously if you get that meeting with Minister Carl McNeill, we look forward to speaking to you afterwards and getting your perspective on it. But for the moment, thank you and good morning.
Thank you, Donal.
Okay, it is 10 to noon, just 10 minutes left on the programme this morning. We want to take a short break. We'll then get the weather, and we'll be back with some of your comments after these.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Plan something new at the start of the year? Well, who hasn't? Now's your second chance with the 252 registrations at iMotors. Take the wheel of the iconic Qashqai, the bold X-Trail, the sporty Juke, or go electric with the stunning Nissan Ariya. They're here and they're waiting for you. Visit imotors.ie today.
iMotors, fearless generation.
TFI Local Link operates evening and weekend services throughout rural Ireland to help you stay connected 7 days a week. We know life doesn't just happen 9 to 5, so if you're commuting, shopping, visiting family, or going out in the evenings or on the weekends, let TFI Local Link take you there. Visit transportforireland.ie.
This summer, the Big Top is calling. Summer Sessions Letterkenny presents The Human League, live on August the 21st for one unmissable night. Plus special guests including Nick Kershaw and The Undertones. And it's your last chance to grab the final tickets at summer-sessions.ie. Also rocking the Summer Sessions stage, the Saw Doctors with special guests. That's The Human League, August the 21st in Letterkenny, under the Big Top. Follow Summer Sessions Letterkenny on social media for all the latest updates.
Looking at the Kia Sportage? Call to Heron Auto Donegal, where for just €1,500 more than the diesel model, you can upgrade to a hybrid automatic with a bigger boot, spare wheel option, and finance from just 3.9%. Drive smarter, drive further, and drive with confidence with Heron Auto Donegal Town, your trusted Kia main dealer. Book your test drive today at Heron Auto or visit heronauto.ie.
Who the hell are you? Get ready, Donegal. Highland Radio is throwing a party like no other. It's the Big Highland Summer Bingo Party, hosted with me, Keith Fletcher.
And me, Lee Gooch, Hawaiian shirts, hulas, how the hula are ya? Big laughs and even bigger cash prizes. With €1,000 up for grabs, expect big party tunes, madness, and just a little bit of mayhem.
So, Saturday the 2nd of August at Jackson's Hotel, Ballabafay.
You better get your tickets quick on eventbrite.com.
Hey, what? Is it over 18s?
You better mention it's over 18.
Okay. And it's over 18s.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenney's. Find amazing savings across our departments with up to 50% off your favourite brands in our summer sale. Discover more in-store or shop online at mcelhenneys.com today.
And Madeira are telling us to expect a generally cloudy day with outbreaks of rain, some thundery downpours possible, brighter weather along with further showers extending from the west through the afternoon and into the evening. Maximum temperature 16 to 19 degrees Celsius in moderate westerly breezes. And some areas we're told across the county it's raining already. Some areas it is yet to rain, but it will start very soon by the looks of the skies. Just a few comments before we move on. A caller says we were at Staff Beach, councils provided parking for camper vans. We counted 37. A caravan was parked in a disabled parking bay and then set up a dining table in a no parking keeps clear space alongside. A regular visitor with a disabled badge on her car had to park in front of the caravan. There were no other spaces available. Now, we own a camper van, we enjoy touring in Donegal, and we eat in local cafes and we support local businesses. Another caller says Monday was another terrible day to be driving in Letterkenny from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. The Ramelton Road and Ballyrain were jammed. We've councillors voting to put in cycle lanes along this road instead of a filter lane at the Polestar, and traffic is merging into two bottlenecks at the Creamery roundabout and the Ballyrain roundabout. When traffic is heavy, it's causing big tailbacks. It doesn't look like they'll build another bridge over the Swilly anytime soon. We voted these councillors in. Same problems are talked about every year with very little done. A caller praising Garda Grania Doherty for outlining the scam that she almost fell victim to herself, and thanks to Grania for putting that out into the public domain. A lot of comments coming in praising John for the song he sung during our piece on the party in the park, and another caller saying there'll be no cost of living measures in Ireland this year. Ireland is waiting to see how Trump's tariffs will affect the country. Now, we spoke to the PRO of the pro-life movement just before the break, joined on the line now by Mary. And Mary, I know you were very glad to hear that conversation.
Very glad, because there seems to be, as the proper word on there, on it, we're not allowed to discuss or debate. I've long held or been very aware of that. I mean, I think it's terrible, no matter what. It is a poor argument if you can't stand over it. But, you know, the facts should be there instead of what we've had mainly in Ireland is campaigning, very much campaigning for abortion and more abortion, and no listening at all to anybody who has any, misgivings about it. Even the minister and those involved, the politicians, have refused to discuss the 3-year review that we were promised with the referendum. Only one side is taken, and there's a push on the time for more. And regarding that case that you said, I read where that woman's family were very glad to have the baby now that she's dead. There's all life is precious. And then you have the extremes, but I mean, I don't think it is ever necessary to deliberately kill, or it's ever acceptable to deliberately kill when life is so precious. I know from personal experience that I was married a long while before I had my baby, and therefore much more appreciative of the gift of life. So just again, thank you very much for having it, and I hope that there's much more proper discussion and debate on the subject, like what are they afraid of?
Okay, Mary, thank you very much indeed. That's Mary there. And that's her perspective. Mary, you have a very good day. Just two more comments before we say goodbye. Why is it that the people who support more liberal abortion laws are the exact same people who support more open borders and migration? Another caller says, I voted for women's right to choose. It's none of my business why they choose to terminate. If you want to help people continue with pregnancy, maybe look at the current state of our country. We can't afford to have families. We can't afford to pay for childcare. It's almost 20 for a tub of formula. We can barely put a roof over our heads, let alone start a family. So says a caller. And that, my friends, is it for the 9 till noon show for today. It's been an absolute pleasure. Michaela's going to be with you for the rest of the week, starting from tomorrow between 9 and 12 noon. And thank you very much indeed for all your calls. Thanks for participating. A huge thank you to Donna Marie for producing, and to Shannon as well. As always, they both figuratively held my hand and kept me going through the course of the show. As I say, Michaela's back tomorrow. Coming up next, it's John Breslin. He's around the Northwest. But for myself, Donal Kavanagh, thank you, goodbye, and have a very good day.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
The Hillary's summer sale just got even better. Get up to 50% off hundreds of made-to-measure blinds, curtains and shutters.